What a week. Hey, by the way, happy Good Friday, and to our Jewish friends, also happy Passover. I didn't say that the other day. So we want to wish everybody a great holiday weekend, and whatever your faith is, God bless everyone. And I hope you have a great family time with all. So we wish everyone having a great holiday weekend. And whatever your faith is, we so applaud you there. Thank you so much for coming aboard, as you do each and every single day here on this holy day. We appreciate it, and I am going to do my best not to get aggravated and not to drop F-bombs today, Aunt Betty. I promise you here. So again, what a week. What an absolute week it's been in Eagleville. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I really haven't and by the way, when you go over to my X account, you got all the Jalenites over there trying to pimp to me all the things that people will say about the guy's resume. I don't disagree with you. I think the guy's got one of the greatest resumes for a quarterback over the last 5 years since Russell Wilson. I mean, I agree with you. Then why is he under so much heat? I think it's very simple. Hey, by the way, I think that now people are starting to come to the conclusion that Saquon Barkley didn't get enough love for 2024 in what that team and what we said that Hurts was a caboose during that 24 season. People are now starting to come to the grips that, hey, dude, that 2024 year was all Barkley, like we had been saying. That year was all Barkley with a great moment by Hurts. Hurts had a great moment. Actually, two great moments. NFC title game in the Super Bowl. Absolutely two enormous games. Not taking anything away. By the way, I am not going to take anything away from the success of the guy whatsoever. I told you, you can't take him out of the top 5 conversations when it talks about being one of the more successful guys in football. Okay? I mean, I've never said that. However, when we talk about skill set, look, here's the simplest thing I did this just before we even came on. So again, here's the simple part of it. And I appreciate you. My friend, thank you so much. Thank you on this Friday. God bless you, man. How you doing, Sills, with all the things being brought up about Hurts and the fact everything is being dumped on him? Could it be scapegoated because Eagles are hiring people that don't help utilize his skill set? 1,000%. My friend, they're not doing anything to help the quarterback. I agree with that 1,000,000%. That's what makes this so complexing, is that it doesn't make sense. You're hiring people that have nothing to do with the quarterback skill. You have hiring everybody that has everything to do with his deficiencies. It's almost like, would you not say this? It's almost like they're hiring somebody that they're setting the guy up for the next quarterback. And they're setting this offense up for the next guy. You could make that conversation. They're not setting this up for Hurts. They're setting it up for the next guy. They're not doing anything. I heard Joe Krause today. I thought Joe did a great job this morning on Birds 365. He brought an array of topics up, and I think he's in the same boat with everyone else in Philly. What are you doing? And I'm with Joe on this one. You know what it is? I'll tell you where I am. Hey, I would run that pony into the ground. If that guy was giving me wins and wins and wins and wins and wins, I don't care how it looks. I don't care what you want to do aesthetically. I run that guy into the ground. The problem here is, I told you guys at the very beginning of this whole exercise with Jalen Hurts, this wasn't going to be a long window. Jalen doesn't have a long career with that style of play. I said that since day one. That is not a long, sustained career with that ability. It's simple. Dual threat quarterbacks, all of them, unless you're built like Cam Newton. Cam Newton had 12 years. The only reason Cam Newton played that long is because Cam Newton was 6'6", 256 pounds. He was a big dude. He's built like Josh Allen. Okay? I mean, dude, see this right here? Colin Kaepernick had a better skill set than Hurts. He was a better passer and a better runner. Colin Kaepernick had tremendous skills. He got a team to a Super Bowl. No doubt. Colin Kaepernick had great skills. I don't give a crap about his politics or whatever. When you're talking about his skill set, Colin Kaepernick was exceptional. I mean, he was big. He was tall. He was like the next coming of what you're seeing with these big-time, giant dual-threat guys. I disagree with a lot of people that said that Kaepernick did not have talent. I disagree with that. I think Colin Kaepernick had great talent. I think the organization of the 49ers let him down massively, and especially after they got rid of the RPO and they got rid of Jim Harbaugh. Kaepernick's career went the other way. Colin Kaepernick was a pretty good player, but again, that's not a high threshold for a big-time career. That's not going to last long. I'm going to show you something here. And I wrote this down here. So in 2023, in Jalen Hurts' 17 ball games, Hurts had 15 interceptions. And in the first 4 games of the season in 24, the Super Bowl year, he had a grand total of 19 interceptions in 21 ball games. And prior to that, in 2023, Jalen Hurts' passing and his passing rating, when it came to the amount of passes per game, was at 28.4%, which means this. He was averaging 28.4 attempts per game in 23 and in the first 4 games of 2024. Okay? 28.4 is what he averaged in attempts. Okay? It was 29 attempts, something around in that area. Well, after the interceptions, they took that down to 19. Actually, it was around 18.1. But I think if you look at some of the other games, like the playoff games, it came out to around 19. But during the season, it was 18.1. They took the ball out of his hands because they didn't want the interceptions. If you put the ball in, I heard Joe say this today. The reason I said 15 interceptions, if you increase that guy's volume of passes, he will go back to what he did in 23 because that's who the Zebra is. His stripes are this. He's a turnover machine if you increase the volume of play. Plain and simple. When they tried to increase it, he turned the ball over. I'm not even counting his fumbles. Get this. That's who he is. And what gets me is that now you're getting and you're hiring coaches that want to increase the volume. You're going to go back to turnovers. You're going to go back to turnovers. Hey, by the way, you know, this thing with A.J. Brown, no question now, A.J. Brown, and again, he wants a quarterback that throws on time, and he wants a quarterback that doesn't make his job so hard. That's why he wants out of here. So this is what you have. You have a quarterback right now who doesn't want to listen to the coaches. You have a star wide receiver who doesn't want to be there. Sure sounds to me like the wheels are coming off a little bit here in Philly. I mean, that sounds like the wheels are coming off. You got people who don't want to be in the building, and you have stories coming out one after another about the guy not wanting to be in the building, and I'm talking A.J. Brown. You got another guy who maybe has lost faith in the coaching staff. To some of your points, maybe Jalen's doing this. How many coordinators am I going to go through? I'm sick of this. I'm doing shit my way. He may be in that room, and he may be right. Why change something that's working? To Jalen Hurts' point, why change something that's creating mass success? So you don't like the painting. Who cares as long as it sells for $20 million? Who cares? Looks like the Eagles care more about how it looks than what it's doing when it comes to winning games. This whole philosophy just does not make sense in what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, they're basically telling Jalen Hurts, we can't win going further with your style. That's why we fired Jeff Stoutland and all the coaches, and we brought all these new guys in. Listen, this is not an opinion. This is what they're doing. This is not an opinion. They fired all the coaches on offense. They're bringing an entire new staff in that has nothing to do with the quarterback skill, and they're going completely opposite of what the guy does best. Make that make sense. And to Jalen's part, he's 50-18 in the last 4 years. Make that make sense. So what, the guy's limited? Hey, go here. That is a great take. That is a great take. McKee's stock in the building's growing. Tanner McKee's stock in the building is getting higher because that fits his skill set. It's almost like they're building the offense for Tanner McKee. That's a great comment. That is absolutely a great comment. Okay? I mean, a spectacular comment. It looks like you're building that offense for Tanner McKee. How about this? You're building the offense to Tanner's skill set. Okay? I mean, get this. Okay, here. We always got to start out with a loser comment because it makes the show even better. Because thank God for M. Reyes being here because he gives you nothing but the glazed donut effect. So here, I don't even know what he's going to say. Hurts passed more before we got to Saquon. No, he didn't. His Super Bowl season. Here's what Jalen Hurts did throwing the football. Jalen Hurts. This is not true, folks. Jalen Hurts ran the ball for 800 yards that year, too. He ran the ball for 800 yards. So Jalen Hurts' season that they won the Super Bowl, they went to the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts threw for 460 attempts. That's so far below average on what an average quarterback in today's NFL. He had 3,700 yards and 22 touchdowns. That's pedestrian. Here's where he excelled because of the RPO that season and the threat of rushing. Jalen Hurts ran for 760 yards and 13 touchdowns at 4.6 a clip. Dude, nobody feared the guy's passing. They feared the guy's dual threat effect. The guy is so dumb. He thinks they feared his passing. They feared his dual threat ability in 22 when they went to the Super Bowl. Once that dual threat effect went away, nobody's afraid of that offense. Unless Barkley's running people over. So still, shouldn't Howie and Laurie get dumped on because of Timu moves made in torching a Super Bowl team and Stoutland being pushed out? Listen, they believe they're doing the right thing, and to their credit, you got to look at what they're doing when it comes to how people perceive them and how they're building these teams. Hey, look, you got a lot of equity inside the building in the front office because the front office has made good moves to keep you competitive. But as I've said, I think there's so many chefs in the kitchen that you've left like 2 Super Bowls on the table. The RPO in 20. How many people in here? Get this. You think Jalen Hurts, his dual threat in 2022 that you guys refer to all the time, that's 4 years ago. Do you think the dual threat was the one thing that made him a weapon? Yes or no? You think that's the one thing that made him a weapon? Was his dual threat? Okay? When Hurts was a dual threat, was that the biggest weapon he had in 22? Okay. When that went away, he's not a weapon anymore. He's a mediocre passer who's going to have moments. He's never going to be consistent. Okay? He's never going to be consistent. How about this? Think about something too, Jimbo. You paid for a dual threat guy at $250 million. This past year, here's what Jalen Hurts did. Of all his years, 105 attempts, he's down from his highest of 165 to his lowest rushing since his 2020, where he got into the game, and he only started 4 games. He had 354 games. Get this. In 4 starts, Hurts had 354 yards rushing. This past year, he had 421 in 16 games starting. If Hurts doesn't have that ability to be able to run, that $250 million, you overpaid for him. I'm just glad Hurts has found his retirement job, making children's books for all of his fans who think he's elite. That guy's about as elite as Nick Foles is elite. I mean, come on now. Now, listen, let me ask you something here, too. So, look at the number. Get this. M. Reyes says this is fake news. In 2023, you want to hear what he calls fake news? In 2023, in 17 ball games. Wait, I don't even know if he played 17 ball games. No, he didn't. He played 15. So wait a minute. He played 15. My bad. He didn't play the final 2 when he had those interceptions. So let me go back here. Hold on here for a second. That number is even higher now in picks. So the year he had 15 interceptions, he did play 17. So get this. 21 ball games. 21 ball games, he had 19 interceptions. And he was throwing the ball roughly around 30 times a game from 2023 to the first 4 games in 2024. This ain't fake news, folks. He had 19 interceptions. And after the bye, they brought him down to 18.1 attempts per game. You tell me what the difference is. M. Reyes would tell you that's fake news. That's what he did. That's what he did. That's what he did. You're making it sound like the guy, and get this, 17 and 23, the first 4 and 24 are 21 ball games. He had 19 interceptions in 21 games. You guys think that's a good number? He's averaging nearly 30 attempts. After that, he went down to 18.1. Nearly 12 attempts less. That's why he won the Super Bowl. He took the ball out of his hands. Sills, the Eagles' X-Post wasn't a great look for Hurts. I think it was trying to show Smitty can be a number 1. AJ trade incoming? Absolutely. Good Friday to you and happy Passover to you too, my friend. Okay? Think of that. 21 games. When they tried to up the volume, he had 19 turnovers. I'm not even counting his interceptions. Let me show you something there. When you're talking his fumbles. And go down here. In his get this. When they asked him to do more, let me see here. Do they have the number of fumbles? Let's see. How many fumbles did he have in 2023? How many fumbles did he have? Does it have the fumbles here? Here we go. Okay. In 2023, he had 9 fumbles. So in theory, get this. He had 28 turnovers. He had 28 turnovers, and you had the other two. This guy had 30 turnovers in 21 ball games. 30 turnovers. 30. In the 2023, when they upped his volume in the first four, he had 30 turnovers in 21 ball games. And you think increasing his number of throws is going to help him? How's that? Help me out on that. Oh, I get it. It's play calling and not the quarterback. Take away Lamar Jackson's running and you have a mediocre quarterback. See what he says? So let's take a look at that. You have a mediocre quarterback. He says, if you take his running away. Let's take a look at Lamar Jackson and if he doesn't have the running. Lamar Jackson. Let's take a look at that. So Lamar Jackson led the National Football League in touchdown passes in 2019. Led the NFL in touchdown passes. In 2024, he threw for 4,172 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 4 picks. I didn't even count the rushing. How's that possible? That you say a guy who threw for 4,100 yards and 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. He's just a mediocre quarterback. Dude, your guys never come close to any of that. 30, this guy had 40 TD passes. What in God's name are you talking about? Oh my God. Holy my lawn. Gotta be kidding me. I read the whole comment for context. Let me see here, okay? Take away Lamar Jackson's running and you have a mediocre quarterback. Hurts not wanting to run is a career killer. Hurts isn't that guy. My friend, I apologize. Okay? You're right. You are dead right. It's a great take. Okay? Forgive me. You're right. Let me tell you something too, my friend. He runs the ball. He's a weapon. I've not deviated off that. I can't tell you how many times after the 2022 games, I kept saying this. That guy breaks more defensive coordinators' hearts with his ability to run the ball and his ability to be a dual threat than any quarterback I've ever seen run dual threat. In 2022, you know what? I'll make this comment to you, my friend. Double O, do you not agree? Of all the dual threat quarterbacks we've ever seen, that may have been the greatest year that a dual threat quarterback's ever had. Do you not agree? I can't tell you how many times. 3rd and 11, guy gets it. 3rd and 11, the guy gets it. 3rd and 11, that guy gets it. 3rd and 11. He was a weapon. Says, why do people rip Stroud when he has one of the worst O-lines? It's because they're trying to accelerate and push up Jalen Hurts above all the rest of these guys when he doesn't have the skill set of C.J. Stroud. He's nowhere near the talent of C.J. Stroud as a player. Hurts, of all the quarterbacks that are in contending football teams or on contending football teams, is the least talented guy from the pocket. Now, when you add the component of running, he's one of the most dangerous players of any of the contending quarterbacks. There's no doubt. But his pocket dude, you see this right here? Let me put this out of context for you here. If you're 50-18 and you fired the entire offensive coaching staff, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Wouldn't you have kept the entire offensive staff together? Or what? They fired everybody. Everybody. And they brought in people that make no sense. Why? Why? Like I said, it's almost like you're building an offense for the next guy or for Tanner McKee. Okay? Both scored low on Wonderlic tests. Stroud can't read fast either. I think Stroud's better in the pocket. I do. You'd rather be able to say you were right than to say your team have success. Are we living in a bizarro world? What do you mean? You'd rather be able to say you were right than to see your team have success. Are we living in a bizarro world? I think the Eagle front office is living in a bizarro world. Why would you change anything? Dude, I would run Jalen Hurts' ass out there and run the same offense again and hope that the offensive line got healthy. Hey, guys, if they were really going to help Jalen Hurts, wouldn't they have come back with the same coordinator and just say, let's see if we can grow a coordinator and get a healthier offensive line? If the offensive line was the issue, why'd you fire the coaches? Oh, I see. You're changing the entire offensive approach. And then you're assuming you have the offensive players that are going to fit this new offense. The wide receiver doesn't fit the offense. A.J. Brown doesn't fit it. You don't move him around. He's not a versatile receiver. You don't play him in a slot, Y, Z. You move him and you keep him in one spot. You put him out wide left every game. Hey, Kyle, I'd like to know what the percentage is of AJ not being in the Y compared to him being in the Z on the other side. I'd like to know that. I bet it's 90-10. They don't move that dude around because the quarterback's limited. Exactly, Sills. Why are they getting away from Hurts' strengths? This time is obviously limited. It's a result. I'm with you. Hey, Jimbo, if they came back and ran the same offense as last year with 11 football wins and the issues were the health in the O-line, I think that's safer than trying. I think you're closer to winning 12 football games if you do that than changing the entire system under the kids' feet. Do you guys agree with me? I wouldn't have changed shit. I would have said, let's get healthier. Now, again, so you're saying the offensive line stinks. That affected Barkley. Okay, I'll go there. But why change the offense? Why would you change the offense? I would never change the offense. I would have come back with everything and said, let's get healthier. Let's get healthier. Hey, Hurts is a all-pro quarterback. Yeah, so Shador. He went to the Pro Bowl too. Last time I agreed with you, Sills, I got clowned on. I'm not sure what you're talking about, dude. Get this, 7.3 to 11.3%, Sills. Think about that. Kyle, put that in context. That's a great pull by my guy here. Holy shit. Why make the offense into something he's never had success doing? Square peg, round hole. Dude, I completely agree with this, and I completely disagree with what they're doing. Something happened inside the organization. Hurts has turned into being an uncoachable player. It has to be. The coaches have to be frustrated with him for this to happen like this. Because for them to say, we're going to do this come hell or high water, they have an aggravated ass with the quarterback, and the quarterback probably has an aggravated ass with the coaching staff. Okay? He did not have, get this, M. Reyes thinks 30 turnovers in 9. M. Reyes thinks 28 turnovers in 21 games. No. That's not even that. In 17 games, Jalen Hurts had 28 turnovers. He thinks that's success in 23. Do you guys think that? You guys think 28 turnovers, 15 picks, and 9 fumbles. You think that's success? According to M. Reyes, 2023 with 28 turnovers was successful. Yes or no? How many people believe that? That Jalen in 23 with 28 turnovers. Okay? 28 turnovers. 28. 17 games, he had 20 turnovers. No. Let's go back here. I'm looking at him right now. Jalen had 9 fumbles in 2023, and he had 15 turnovers, interceptions. My book, let's see, 15 and 9, that's 24 turnovers. And get this, even if my math is off, he thinks 20 turnovers in 17 ball games is great. 24 turnovers Hurts had in 23. He thinks that's great. That's a great number. He says that's a great season. He was successful with that amount of turnovers. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's all you need to know about that dude. Okay? Doesn't matter. He's the MVP. Dude, that MVP don't mean shit. That MVP doesn't mean shit. When it talks about a player's ability, that doesn't mean shit. The reigning Super Bowl MVP was just given his walking papers in Seattle because they thought they could do better. Or they weren't going to pay him. They didn't need him. You think that Super Bowl MVP makes you a superstar player? It doesn't. That's like saying, well, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, so he's a better player than Dan Marino. It does? Really? You think winning a Super Bowl MVP means you're an elite quarterback? No, it doesn't. Troy Aikman's won 3. Let me ask you guys this. Troy Aikman's won 3 Super Bowls. Would you take him over Peyton Manning, who's won less? Would you take him over Peyton Manning? Would you take him over Dan Marino? Would you take him over, let's see. Would you take him over Roger Staubach? You look at this. These guys would take Hurts over Peyton Manning. Okay. Hey, look, not going to debate with those kind of folks. Not at all. Stupid argument by stupid people. It's not even accurate. The Super Bowl MVP, Hurts wasn't the MVP of the game. That's right. It was subjectively picked because it's the quarterback's award. You could have picked anyone on that defense. You could have picked the entire defense. That was the MVP in that game. They manhandled Mahomes in that game. Hurts was good in that game. I'm not dismissing that. Hurts was better in the loss of the Super Bowl in 22 than he was in that game. I didn't think he was special in that game. How many people in here think that Hurts was Nick Foles in that game? Who do you think had a better Super Bowl, Nick Foles or Jalen Hurts? Who had a better Super Bowl? And Nick Foles is a career journeyman. Nick Foles is a career journeyman. Who did Hurts have a better Super Bowl than Nick Foles? Anybody? Both equal. Oh my God. A guy who throws for 400 yards about. You're telling me a guy who threw for 400 yards just about. And you're telling me you think Jalen Hurts played better than Nick Foles in his Super Bowl MVP compared to Nick Foles' MVP. My God. Nick had 450 yards passing in that game. And you're telling me you think that Jalen Hurts played better than Nick Foles? Jason thinks that Hurts played better than Foles in that Super Bowl that you won against the Patriots. Man, you're the Jalenites' power of delusionary thinking is without a doubt one of the strongest of all time. Holy cow, you guys are delusional. Hurts led his team to the Super Bowl 2 years. No, he did not lead that team in 24 to the Super Bowl. He did not. He was the caboose on that team. Saquon Barkley was the catalyst on that team. Your passing game was 28th. Your running attack was second. That's Barkley. Okay? Hurts led his team to the Super Bowl 2 years. Foles did it once. With Wentz did all the work. Hey, Hurts was the caboose in 24. Super Bowl 59 was over after Cooper DeJean got the pick six. Defense outplayed the defense in Super Bowl 57, destroyed Mahomes in 59. Hurts was the 10th best player on the offense in 24. Yeah. Get this. Eye test screams Hurts is elite. Really? Then why'd you fire your entire coaching staff? Dude, you can't follow the chat for the life of you. I said Foles' MVP was by far more impressive. When I saw that Super Bowl in 24, I felt like the Tampa Bay Bucks when they destroyed Mahomes. That was a great game plan by Todd Bowles. Not delusional. Have eyes. Saw how a quarterback led his team to the Super Bowl. He did not lead his team to the Super Bowl in 24. He did not. 2,900 yards led. Dude, the running back almost had as many yards rushing as the quarterback had throwing. Where in God's name did you think that that guy was the leader of that charge to the Super Bowl? He wasn't even the best player on his team that year. He wasn't. You know what? Outside of 2022, Jalen Hurts has never been the best player. No, I'll take that back. Jalen Hurts has never been the best player in his own huddle. Like ever. Like ever. He's never been the best player. As great as Trent Williams is, Christian McCaffrey's the best player in that huddle. He's the best player in that huddle. And then Purdy's probably second or third. Here's another topic, and I want to throw this topic out at you. I heard Joe kind of throw something out kind of a little bit like this. Folks, now this is really going to hurt. This topic is really going to hurt. Okay? With the new coaches and the new style that they're bringing in to the team, first and foremost, let's ask this question. Do you all agree that the new coaching staff that they're bringing in, they want to run a Sean McVay offense? Yes or no? Or a version of it? These new coaches and Nick, okay, want to bring in a new offense based around Sean McVay, not totally, but they want to have more under center, more motion, and a version of it. Do we all agree? Not necessarily. Okay? What do you mean by that? I'm curious. So that we're all on the same page. What do you mean not necessarily? What do you mean not necessarily? Because I want us all on the same page when I go and ask the topic question to you. Got to see the roster first. Hold on here, folks. They can't make any moves on the roster. The roster on offense is set. You're not doing any more. What do you mean roster? The only move that will be made is that if they trade A.J. Brown away. Other than that, your roster on offense is set. You're not adding any other players to it. Jeff's glaze on the Hurts was about PR. There's no way he thinks he can continue with the quarterback that throws for 25 touchdowns and 2,900 yards. I think Hurts is being hindered by an inept coaching staff. Okay? Saquon was the reason for the Super Bowl in 24, but Hurts did throw when he had to, i.e. the Super Bowl. I didn't say he was not going to have limited games. He had limited games. Okay? So, okay. They're going to run a new version of this offense. Okay? A new version of this offense. And they're going to try to do motions, under centers, all of that, right? Here's the topic question for you. Who do you believe the coaching staff would prefer in a skill set? Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts to run that style of offense? Watch this. Watch some of these comments. Ask the question again. With all the changes, motion, under center, progression reading, the new offense, what quarterback do you think the new coaching staff would prefer style of play? Would they prefer Hurts or Purdy? Purdy all day. Brock Purdy all day. Hurts can't do anything Brock Purdy does skill set wise. Nothing. Nothing. Get this. He says it's a silly question because it's what they want. They want a quarterback like Brock Purdy running their offense. He can't accept that. That's what the coaches are looking at. They're looking at the style of play of Brock Purdy. Okay? That's what kind of quarterback. Hey, do you not agree? They want a guy who plays under center. They want a guy who turns his back on the defense. They want a guy who can read a defense. And they want a guy who can spread the ball around. Hurts does none of that. No. It's not a hypothetical. You freaking hired the coaches for this particular quarterback skill set. This is what's making this hire even more insane. It's not a hypothetical. You've hired those. Again, he's dumb. The quarterback thinks going under center is rocket science. It's because he can't turn his back on a defense because he's not good at reading defenses. He can't read a defense. That's why he plays in shotgun. That's why he's a one-read quarterback. That's why he throws to one side of the ball. He's protected by the sideline. This is why he doesn't go across the middle. By the way, for the rest of the day, M. Reyes can keep posting. His comments are irrelevant to the realities of what are happening. Completely irrelevant. I'm talking to you about what he's doing. And by the way, this is another great take. When he turns his back, when he goes under center, he gets sacked. Let's take a look at that number as well. So get this. Let's go down here to this. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has played in 93 ball games. Kyle, help me out. He's played 93 ball games as an NFL player, and he started. Let's go here. He started 82 ball games. 82 ball games he started. He's taken 183 sacks in those 82 starts. What is that per game? 3? What is that? 2? 2.5? As an average? Okay. What is that? Like 2.5 sacks a game? You're talking about 2.5 sacks a game. This guy takes per game. In 82 starts, he's had 183 sacks. This guy's on his back every single time he has to start reading from the pocket. This guy takes a shitload of sacks, and he doesn't throw the ball that much. Hey, get this. Think about this. Let's see how many fumbles he has in those starts. How many fumbles does this dude have? Let's go fumbles here. Let's go fumbles here. Here we go. So, fumbles. Fumbles. Here we go. He's taken 53 fumbles in 82 starts. You think that number's high? So you're taking 2.5 sacks and you have 53 fumbles in 82 games. You think that's a lot? You guys think that's a lot? Okay. You think that's a ton? Like over half your football games that you started, you fumbled the ball. So you take 2.5 sacks, and every other game you fumble the ball. So Hurts was able to execute a McVay-type offensive passing attack. Would it be one of the greatest turnarounds in individual play in league history? Yeah. Darnold and Danny Dimes are up there too. Sam Darnold doesn't play a different style. He played the same style in Minnesota as he played when he went to Seattle. Hey, I'm going to get to another topic here in a second here too. Okay? I'm going to get to another one here, and it's always been a misnomer by Eagle fans too. I think they're setting the coach up for the next quarterback. That's what I think. Sure looks it. The people that you guys are hiring make no sense. Joe Krause is right today. You're hiring people. You know what it'd be like? Hey, Joe, right? It'd be like Zander and Joe hiring a news talk guy to do sports talk, and the guy lived in Seattle, and he has no understanding of what's going on in Philly. And he's talking Seahawks football to you. Makes no sense. Dude, you're assuming Hurts can run the same offense Purdy's running. I'm not. No. I'm not. They are. I'm not assuming that. I don't think he can. There's no way Jalen Hurts could run a Kyle Shanahan offense. There's no way. There's no chance in hell he can run that offense. He couldn't go up to Seattle. He couldn't go to San Francisco and run that offense. Hey, get this. You know why he couldn't? Because Kyle Shanahan can't coach dual threat quarterbacks. It's not the guy He's never had a style like that in his entire coaching career. Look at this guy. Bet. Name me one dual threat quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has had success with. One. I'll wait. Who? Matt Ryan? Let me guess. Who else? Mac Jones? Jimmy Garoppolo? Who else? Let me go. Oh, who's the one guy that was? Trey Lance. He was a failure, okay? Name me one quarterback that he coached. One quarterback he coached. There. He thinks that Sirianni is a smarter offensive-minded coach than Kyle Shanahan. This guy gets dumber every day. Nobody in their right mind would say that Nick Sirianni is a more savant offensive-minded coach than Kyle Shanahan. But this guy, he is so dumb. God, is that guy bad. Whew. Worst takes of all time, man. Sills, Josh Allen leads the league in 96 turnovers since 20. Repeat, 96 turnovers. Josh Allen has won more games percentage-wise than any quarterback in pro football in his time since he's been in the league. And in that time frame, he doesn't have near the talent offensively that Jalen Hurts has had. He's never played with double wide receivers like that. I'll give you, the Cook back is great, and their O-line is good. But his offensive weapons are not very good. And they never have been. Hurts can play like shit in a game. He can't. Reyes, I'm really done, man. I'm not glowing glazed donut here on Good Friday. I'm just not. You're not very smart. Saban took Tua over him. Yes, he did. Bill's defense not as good as the Eagles either. They are good, though. It's crazy that players that never did nothing in the NFL like Acho, and no disrespect, Sills, have so much to say. By the way, Sills, didn't you have meningococcal disease? Hope everything's cool. So wait a minute here. Okay, so you assume that because guys didn't have success in the NFL, don't know what they're talking about? So I would assume you think Belichick doesn't know shit either, who had no career whatsoever in the NFL. Doesn't know shit what he's doing either. Is that right? Or Bill Walsh, who never played a down in the NFL. He's a dumbass too. He has no understanding. Or let's see, Belichick as a defensive coordinator in the NFL. He never played a down. Okay? Never played a down in the NFL. He has no understanding of the game because he never even had a career. At least I had a career. Okay, so then if that's the case, there you go. So Sean Mannion had a miserable career as an NFL player. He won't have a good career as a coordinator. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? That Mannion has no shot at being a good coordinator? There you go. Noah just said right now. Noah, you're right. That guy said that because my career was not really great at all, that Mannion will not be a good coordinator because he doesn't know shit about football. Okay? Why'd you hire him? I didn't say Allen didn't have a top. Name me one wide receiver can make the Eagles. Name me one. Bro, stop with your Hurts. Get this, folks. Nobody questions Josh Allen's ability. Ever. They're questioning Hurts' ability in Philly. Everybody is questioning his ability. Stephon Diggs. Yeah, he couldn't start in Philly. Simping for a quarterback instead of critically evaluating him to true Philadelphia Eagle fans. Listen, I'm just telling you exactly who the guy's been and what he is and what his skill set is. Stop doing that. Jalen Hurts will never be the talent of Josh Allen. What are you talking about? My God. Dude. What crazy talk. Am I crazy to think Tua could have a career resurgence like Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold? Look, Tua led the NFL in passing yards, something Hurts will never do. Hurts has I used to think he'd have a better shot at leading the NFL in rushing, but he's not. Okay? Wait a minute. You think Diggs could have started over AJ because Diggs was the number one guy in Buffalo? So the number one wide receiver that he had in Buffalo, you think could have started over AJ? Or are you saying that Diggs could have started over Jahan Dotson, the number 3 receiver on the Eagles? Is that how you're going to play the game? This is what he just did. He thinks Diggs could have started on the Eagles, but not as the number 1, which Allen had as a number 1 in Buffalo. He thinks he could have started over Diggs in the number 3 hole. Yeah, over Dotson in the 3 hole. Yeah, he could have. But he wasn't in that role. He was the number 1 receiver in Buffalo. Yeah, as the number 3, but he wasn't the number 3 in Buffalo. He was number 1. Seals doesn't get it, guys. He doesn't understand how a more talented quarterback like Josh Allen couldn't win a Super Bowl in a weak-ass AFC. Bro, you don't get it. Because you think that fucking Hurts is a top-flight quarterback over Josh Allen is pathetic. That's like saying that because he won the Super Bowl, he's an elite quarterback. It's so asinine. No one is saying Hurts will be better than Josh Allen, just pointing out the double standard for criticizing a quarterback over issues. I'm not the one writing articles about him. I'm not the one calling his leadership out being a horrible teammate and uncoachable. I never said that. Hell, I didn't even know about that. I just assumed it. Now you got everybody saying it. Senor, I don't care what you say, bro. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Dude, I know. You know what? It's so asinine. Bro, Jalen Hurts in the pocket's not better than Brock Purdy. He's not better than Brock Purdy. Didn't say he doesn't know nothing about football. Someone can know football, but can't do it on the field. Okay, thank you. Takes a lot to win a Super Bowl? Okay, I wrote something down here. Here's your quarterbacks, and let's see. And this is the group that I put Jalen Hurts in. Jim Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls and an MVP in one of those Super Bowls. Jim McMahon, Jeff Hostetler was a backup. Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, Nick Foles was a backup. Sam Darnold, and Jalen Hurts. That's the group he belongs in that's won Super Bowls as a starting quarterback. That's the group he belongs in. That's 7 guys have won Super Bowls. I didn't even put the Theismanns in the world or the Rippins in the world and that. You could easily put those guys in there. And I could name 3 or 4 more guys that have won Super Bowls and put him in that room. I mean, and Foles was a journeyman. Nick Foles is a journeyman quarterback. I mean, Jim, I mean, Foles is a journeyman. Hurts has more time without pressure and better weapons than any quarterback in the league and did nothing with it. Now, I don't say nothing with it. I'm not going there and saying he didn't do anything with it. How many of them besides Plunkett was a Super Bowl MVP? Foles and Plunkett. Hurts is in that room. Nick Foles and Jim Plunkett. There's precedent for an average quarterback to win it. Those guys, by the way, Plunkett's got 2 wins. 2 appearances, 2 wins. Russell Wilson's been to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, there's precedent. 2 journeyman quarterback won Super Bowls and were MVPs. Foles and Plunkett. Plunkett was a journeyman. He started his career in New England, got fired there. He started his career, then he went to San Francisco, got fired there. Then he went to the Raiders, and he won 2 Super Bowls and got an MVP. He was a journeyman. Nick Foles is a journeyman. Hostetler was a backup. See, as we talk about trends almost every year, they have been terrible at run defense, except Seattle, I'm assuming. We talk about trends almost every year. Question has been terrible at run defense, except Seattle, I'm assuming. Now, I wouldn't say Foles is better than Hurts, period. You're saying that because he won a Super Bowl. If not, you would not say that. I'm not sure what you're talking about. What do you mean? Mark Rippon's underrated? Okay. You want to say he's better as a player? Sure. Rippon won an MVP. I don't think he was that awful. I think listen, I never said Hurts wasn't a good player. Mark Rippon was a really good player, won an MVP in the regular season, and I believe he won a Super Bowl MVP. I wouldn't call him one of the greats of all time, though. I mean, there's precedent for good. Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. Put in the right environment, he's a really good quarterback. Same with Hurts. You put a good quarterback in a really good environment, he's going to flourish. You put a great quarterback in a bad situation, he's not. Joe Burrow is not going to flourish in Cincinnati. No matter how many wide receivers you give him. You know why? The Bengals are never going to build a team around him because the Bengals don't want to spend money. The Bengals have no problem spending money on wide receivers, but they have a problem spending money on Trey Hendrickson or a guy like Jesse Bates. They're not going to spend money on defense because they don't want to. So if an average quarterback can win, no, an average quarterback can win. Why are we fretting over Hurts being average? I'm not. The Eagles are. I would have left the team the way it was. I'm not. I would have prayed for health in 26, not schematic changes in 26. Big Sills, what type of work prep do you have to put in the offseason to improve and stay ahead of the league at quarterback? And can Jalen evolve or improve? Mike, they're not letting him or helping him improve by hiring people that fit his skill set. The only quarterback coach or coach that helped him was Shane. Mike, you think there's any coincidence once a dual threat quarterback got to Shane in Indianapolis, like what they did with Daniel Jones? Look at what Shane did with Daniel Jones. He turned his career around because he utilized the skill set. You think there's any coincidence that Danny Dimes went from being a loser in New York, and when he got to Indianapolis, he just signed a brand new 2-year contract that's going to pay him $50 million a year? You think there's any coincidence to that? If Sean Mannion turns out to be a good OC play caller, can you see the Eagles back in the Super Bowl? No. Because the quarterback's not going to be able to play in that Sean McVay offense. He's not that good in that setting. No. So, Sills, who has the best coaching staff in the NFL right now? Top three on both sides of the ball. I'd say the Rams, and maybe the Patriots, because you've got Josh McDaniels and you got Mike Vrabel. You got Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, who last year was named the assistant coach of the year. Seals, how good do you think you would be if you had to play for a coach you knew more than? Great take. Great take. Not very. Hey, Roll, I hope you're understanding what I'm saying about Hurts. Jalen Hurts put in the right environment with better coaching on offense. You don't have a very good offensive coaching staff right now. I don't know why people in Philly won't say it. Your coaching staff is not very good right now on offense. You know why? It does nothing to help the quarterback. Like where? Where are you helping him? Do you think that I'm picking the Eagles to have 8 wins this year because of Jalen? I'm picking the Eagles to have 8 wins because of directional change. Okay, here's another good take. It's unproven. That's what you want going into year 7 of your quarterback, an unproven coaching staff. Really? That defeats the entire purpose. I'm going to have an unproven coaching staff, not coach, staff, heading into the 26th season with 0 success or any kind of success you can lean on. 0. And you're going into a year 7 of a quarterback, with a quarterback, changing the offense with a team and a coaching staff that's never, ever been in a game situation. Is that right? Together as a group. Make that make sense. Think about what you're doing, about what you're about to go into. You're going to go with this coaching staff as a group into a game that's never been together, never had any success together. The play callers never called a play. He's never had a game plan, never had a playbook in his entire life. And it's going against everything the quarterback does as a skill. Where are you helping him? Where are you helping him? I'm not saying you're going to win 8 games because Jalen stinks. Because I said again, I don't think he stinks. I think he's a good player. I think you're doing everything to sabotage him. Like you did Wentz. Every single thing that they're doing right now is sabotaging Jalen Hurts. They're sabotaging him right in front of your eyes. If you're hiring people that don't help the kid, you're sabotaging him. I would be very pissed off if I was Jalen Hurts on what this staff looks like. If Barkley comes out slow, there'll be rumbles of him on the block as well. Either Hurts or Barkley will be there in 2000. Neither will be there in 28. Grizzard destroyed Baker. Now he has Jalen. I think Grizzard got a bad deal in Tampa. I disagree with that. I think he got a bad deal. I think Todd Bowles was a bad coach in 2025. Khalid, I didn't. Seals, this whole offensive change is a slow motion car crash. Jalen can't run this type of offense, and they will have to revert back like they did in 24. Thank you, Khalid. I appreciate you doing that, bro. Okay? Hey, great take. And with a first place schedule. There is no way they win more than 8 games. Even with the talent they have on the roster. Okay? Hello, everyone. I'm late, but I'm tuned into the National Hurts Hate Show with Dan Sileo. Happy Good Friday. Happy Good Friday to you. What have I said that's a lie? Wait a minute. And again, Marsh missed it. They're sabotaging Jalen Hurts. They're sabotaging him. It's the only way I look at it. They are sabotaging him. If you're not hiring, here, let me go to the next topic. This is kind of right off of Joe's a little bit too today, but I'm going to add a little more twist to it. Nick Sirianni's responsibility, don't you agree, is to put the best coaching staff, and get this, his responsibility is to make, and what is the number one position on your football team that drives you to a Super Bowl? Getting the quarterback right. His number one responsibility, whether it's linebackers, defensive ends, running backs, wide receivers, is to hire the best coach they can to teach the personnel that Howie Roseman puts on the team. Is that correct? Do you guys agree? One of the responsibilities that a head coach has is to put the best teachers they possibly can around every position to make the best and get the best out of every player. Do you not agree? It's to get the best out of all the people that the Eagles draft. You are to put the best coaching staff together that you can possibly put together to make sure you have the best defensive ends. Look at what Clint Hurtt has meant to the defensive tackle play since he got here. Think about what he's meant to the defensive tackle play. Shit, one guy just got a contract extension. And Jordan Davis. He's turned Jordan Davis's career around. Look at what Vic Fangio has done with the linebacking core, along with Bobby King. Look what they did. Okay? Are they doing that for Hurts? They must have saw something in him. Think they're dumb? I don't know. So let me ask you this. Folks, follow me here on coaching on your football team. Did Vic Fangio make your defense better? Yes or no? Did Vic Fangio make your defense better? Did he? Did Vic Fangio make your defense better? No doubt. Did Kevin Patullo make your offense better? Did Kevin Patullo make your offense better? Your offense better? No. Okay. Sean Mannion. You hired an incomplete coach. Correct? Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. You're in the same position you were April 3rd, 2025, as you are April 3rd, 2026. I don't know. Why? Didn't you learn your lesson? Get this, folks. I'm like, you're not helping the guy. Okay? It is the coaching. It is the coaching. If you're coaching a football player, you know what? You know what? Let me tell you something. All right, I got something I want to play. This is, by the way, could it be fallout from the extension demands? It could be. So I'm going to play something here. But by the way, Joe, Zander, this is your highlight. So this is your, Zander, make sure this is cool. This is your audio. Okay? This is your audio. So let me go here. And I'm going to show you something here. This is our audio. Big Sills here. Going here. This is our audio. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you exactly what I'm talking about here. So here's our audio here. This is our very own audio, so we don't have to worry about getting in any kind of trouble here. This is our audio. Our great success came from outside coaches, not in. Okay, let's see here. Videos. See if I have this. I'm going to play this for you here. Okay, let me go down here, see if I can find it. That's this here. Hold on. Bada bing, bada bang. So let me go over here. Let me go to shorts. See if I can play this. And I can find, and I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make a point with you. Okay. I'm gonna make a point. Let me get this up here. I want to bring this up. Work with me here. Where is this? Okay, Rich McKay. Rich McKay. Sileo. Boom. Okay. Rich McKay. Sileo. Rich McKay. Bang. Okay. So Rich McKay was on my program, and he said, we hired Dan Sileo. Okay? We hired Dan Sileo, and we made him play a zero technique instead of being a 3 defensive tackle technique. And it was not ever going to work. That's what they're doing with Jalen Hurts. You guys have heard that soundbite numerous times on my program where Rich made that comment to you. I can't find it, but Rich made that comment. Let's see if I could do it. I'm off my X account here. Dan Sileo, Rich McKay, Rich MCK. By the way, this was on ours. Okay, here it is.
You got to deal with the realities of change. And so for us, we knew in changing the coach and the GM that you're going to change schemes. And when you change schemes, all of a sudden players don't fit as well. I mean, you played inside DT. You know when you change schemes and you go from 1 gap to 2 gap, Dan Sileo, that used to be a 1 gap player, is going to have to hit 2 gaps. All of a sudden, it's not going to be so good. So you know that's happened to us, right? And then that causes a reset with some of the personnel. But I think the one thing is where you feel comfortable, and you hope the fans feel comfortable, is just see the progress, just see the players that are getting added, just see how they fit, and see yourself getting better. We won 7 games last year, and really had a chance down the stretch to stay in the mix in the discussion.
It's the president of the Falcons.
We're looking forward to this year. I can just assure you of that.
Let me play that one more time again. This is JAKIB, by the way. This was on JAKIB. Okay? This is the president of the Atlanta Falcons, and this is how normal people think about changing schemes, whether it's defense or offense. And you guys think, I heard Marshall say that because he thinks that these guys are pros. Here's the president of the Atlanta Falcons, a former general manager of the Bucs and the Atlanta Falcons, won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and built that SAP Bucs team. This is what he said about even playing a guy like me out of position.
The realities of change. And so for us, we knew in changing the coach and the GM that you're going to change schemes. And when you change schemes, all of a sudden players don't fit as well. I mean, you played inside DT. You know when you change schemes and you go from 1 gap to 2 gap, Dan Sileo, that used to be a 1 gap player, is going to have to hit 2 gaps. All of a sudden, it's not going to be so good. So you know that's happened to us, right? And then that causes a reset with some of the personnel. But I think the one thing is where you feel comfortable, and you hope the fans feel comfortable, is just see the progress, just see the players that are getting added.
Rich McKay said that last year about the Falcons. It's not years ago. He was talking about the Atlanta Falcons of a year ago. Again, nice try, guys. That bite is from a year ago. And he wasn't just talking about me. He was talking about the changing of the Atlanta Falcons scheme. You guys, man, I'll tell you, you refuse to believe anything, no matter if the president of an organization says it, no matter if Jeremy Fowler or if Tim McManus or Jeff McClain say it, or the president of the Atlanta Falcons says it. You refuse to believe it, which means this: there's no conversation they can have with you. You were not capable of having a conversation. Okay? You're not capable of a conversation. So get this. The hell we need cues from the Falcons. We're a better organization. He misses the point. Everything he said is exactly how normal football people think. You don't have if you're going to run a 34 defense, you don't have personnel to run a 43. If you change the scheme, you don't have the personnel. You don't have the corners to play. He doesn't get it. Bro, that's why that guy is the dumbest sports talk dude of all time. Is because he refuses to believe anybody but what the Eagles say, which makes him a glazed donut, which makes it mean it's not really any longer a conversation with him. I use him as a punchline. He's a punchline. He accentuates my part. The game evolves, Sills. Travis Hunter plays both sides. No, he's not playing both sides ever again. And by the way, evolved? He said that comment last year about the Falcons. Yeah. It's wonderful to have these bean brains. That dude is great for my program. He's a bean brain. The only O-lineman not fit for the new scheme is Dickerson. Probably. Tom Brady praised Aiden O'Connell. Stop talking public figures, public quotable seriously. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Hey, I mean, dude, if you're changing the way you might not even have A.J. Brown doesn't fit in the offense you're trying. Dude, A.J. Brown it would be a tough fit for him and Sean McVay's offense in L.A. They'd have to put him in one side of the building and on one side of the field because Puka Nacua goes to the slot, the wide, the Z. He comes out of the backfield. They run him in jet motions. They don't do any of that stuff with him. Going to see insight into personnel with the draft and who they pick. That's going to tell you a lot. You're damn right. You're damn right. Okay? No AJ, no quarterback run threat is trouble. Bang! Okay? Right. Exactly. By the way, I got another topic here for you. So, let's do this one. Let's do this one here. Says you always be my super grabber and 3 technique. No Diddy. Thank you, bro. Here. So what's Nick Sirianni's responsibility in this? Do you give him more respect for dealing with Jalen Hurts' bullshit? Do you give him more respect or less in dealing with his bullshit? more or less, in dealing with Hurts' bullshit. More or less. I'll tell you what I'm going to do here in a minute. Do you give Nick more kudos for dealing with Hurts' bullshit, changing plays and not wanting to be coached? Or less? Give him more respect? Or less? Dealing with Hurts' bullshit. Me too, a little bit. Hard for me to say. Because Nick's got to fall on the sword and eat a lot of shit from that guy. Being insubordinate at times. Guy puts a game plan together and he takes a crap on it half the game, and they're winning in spite of the guy. You got to give a little bit more love to Nick. Because you're winning in spite of the dude. No? Right? Because you're winning in spite of the guy. Check Nick Sirianni's record, then answer that question. Yeah, no. Because the quarterback doesn't want to do anything he's being told. Hurts is a caboose. Maybe the coach is really getting it done. And the coach finally now is saying this: we can't win any further, and we're going to do something different. I'm not going along with the quarterback. And I got a feeling that Nick said this: his job or my job, his reputation is going to be on the hook, not me. And if that guy shits the bed and he can't run that offense, that's on him. Because we can't win the way we have been playing. There's no other way to look at it. This is not an opinion, because all the things we just chronicled and talked about, the only thing that makes sense on changing the scheme, the coaches, getting rid of Jeff Stoutland and all of these guys is one thing. It's Nick doing this. We are not going to have continued success with that kind of offense. And that's the only way you land on it. There is no other way that you can look at this. They have done nothing to help that quarterback or to think that that quarterback is the future of the team and the hirings. There's no way to look at it. If you want to glaze donut it and you want to sit there and chop it up and make it sound whatever you want to make it look like, that's fine, because some of you are always going to be glazed donuts. Okay? But what their actions are, they are showing you. How many times did Joe Krause say today when he was on the air with McMullen, I don't get it? Yeah, you do, Joe. You know how you get it? It's because the coach has finally said this. Enough. We can't win that way. We're going to win this way. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I'm getting rid of Jeff Stoutland. I'm getting rid of everyone. We're going to run this, and we're going to need to get to this if we're going to continue success. That's either with Hurts or without Hurts. Nick's not putting his job in front of Jalen Hurts. You know what? He put himself behind Jalen Hurts all the way up until the 5th year of this thing, 6th year of this thing. And finally, Nick said this: enough. We got to evolve. And this guy has not evolved in 2 years. And we're moving on. Or he's coming along with us. And he's going to be able to adapt enough for us to be able to win ball games and have us in a position to win. I bet you that's what they're hoping. And I'm not saying Nick doesn't hope that. But he's not going to sit there and do all these changes. All of these changes. He's not going to do these things. And nor is the organization going to do all these changes to sit there and wait for Hurts. They're not waiting for him anymore. Get this. Listen to this. Dan's just making shit up as he goes along. So wait a minute, folks. Nick Sirianni's changing the entire way that they're going to approach how to win games. They fired the entire coaching staff, including Jeff Stoutland. They hired a guy who doesn't have any skill set. He says, I'm making that up. He said, I'm making that up. So wait, I'm going to say it one more time. Steve says I'm making shit up as I go along. They fired the entire coaching staff offensively. They hired somebody who does nothing that Hurts does well to be the coach on the team. And he says I'm making that shit up. He says I made that up. How is that made up? What did I say that's not true? What did I say in that conversation? Wait a second. You don't have to believe what I say. You just have to believe what they're doing. Good afternoon, Sills. Why don't understand is why get rid of Stoutland, because he was one of the major reasons why the Eagles were successful. Dude, I'll go back to what they were talking about this morning. I would never have changed anything. I would have prayed for success, of health, and hope that the team offensively got healthier. Sills, I mean, I still doubt they gave knee pad Nick autonomy to make these. Oh, no way. No way. This came from Jeffrey Lurie. You don't jack around with a $250 million player in his money without the ownership. Do you think that Tua Tagovailoa was cut by the new coach, that Halfley guy who just got hired by the Packers, without going upstairs to Stephen Ross and asking Stephen Ross if they were going to get rid of a $200 million and have a $100 million cap hit for the next 2 years without going to ownership and making that move, saying we got to get rid of this guy because we got to start over again? They got $100 and some odd million cap hit on Tagovailoa. You think that new head coach made that call, or do you think the owner made that call? The owner made that call. Jeff Halfley didn't make that call. The owner made that call. I agree with this 1,000%. AJ can't work and catch in some schemes because, no, it's not anything to do with smarts. It's skill set. No, I don't agree with that. AJ looks like a very intelligent football player. And unless I know anything different where people say he can't read a playbook, now you're trying to say that AJ Brown is the reason that they run a simplistic offense is because now the AJ Brown factor. You got to be kidding me, guy. Try to stay on the rails. What's your point? I'm making a point that the guy asked me a question. Do you think it came from upstairs, Jeffrey Lurie, on how they wanted to change the scheme? Of course it did. You don't make any kind of decisions with a $250 million player unless you get clearance from the GM and the owner. That's the new wave coach that Zander talks about and John talks about. You think you're making decisions on $250 million player and his money? Hey, guess what? I'm going to sit his ass down and play Andy Dalton. You think that decision comes from the head coach? Hell no. Hell no, that doesn't come from the coach. That goes to you have to clear that, dude, because there's salary cap ramifications. There's all kinds of issues. The owner comes in. The owner was text messaging and calling Howie Roseman at 4 a.m. about a long snapper. You don't think he's involved in how the direction of the offense is going? Give me a break. What a week. This was like a Big Sills week, baby. This has been Big Sills in his prime. Holy cow. What a horrible day for Dick Reyes. I can't believe it, man. This has been like a grand slam week. Holy cow. I almost broke my arm yesterday, Zander. Before I get Zander here. Zander, I almost broke my arm yesterday, patting myself on the back. I mean, I was going to put a sling on before I came on today. and have my arm in a sling on all this stuff. Holy cow. Look at what I got written out here for Z. Look at this. Boys, I got a lot of answers here, but it's Good Friday. I want it guy to because sometimes Big Z, it's been a tough week for him because you know why? He's got a 2 jersey. And I got to tell you, man, he's been trying to be as balanced as he possibly can for this guy. But don't do it, Dan. Hit that like button, my friends. I appreciate you. All right. Now I got to do this because it's Good Friday. Got my medal out. See him right here? Got my medal out. And I've got to be very kind because it's Good Friday. Make sure you eat your fish. And for my friends Passover, shalom. How you doing? All right. Without further ado, my friend, Big Z, Zander Krause, joins us now on Friday.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Oh, how am I doing? You could put me on a magic carpet right now, bro. I'm just
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could.
Man, have these last 2 articles, these last 2 days changed your opinion in any way of anything? In a perception, has it made you think more, less? Has it made you think more of someone else, less of someone else? Has anything evolved differently? Or, again, and I'm not saying, Zander, that you haven't gone down this lane and approached all these issues that we have approached the last 5 years. My question is, has anything been more maybe solidified for you, or maybe there's more questions on certain issues on where and what they're going to do moving into 26?
Well, I don't think it's anything we haven't known, but what I think maybe we learned this week is that where the Eagles organization stands a little bit more. Whereas in the past we didn't. I don't think it was ever really known if the Eagles organization had as much of a problem with the offense as we did, or they thought that Jalen Hurts was untouchable, after the Super Bowl and after really 2 Super Bowl appearances. So I think maybe we learned a little bit more that the owner is still the same owner that he was 5 years ago, who moved on from Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz and rebuilt the perennial, Super Bowl contender again. And I don't think he's afraid to do that again. I don't think he's going to put any player or person or coach above that mission. And I think you've learned that this week. And I think you've also maybe learned a little bit more about the inner workings of the Eagles, in that it's obvious that people inside the organization have just as big of a problem with this offense as the fans did last year, as you and I have talked about on this show for the last year and change, as all the commentators. Because sometimes I think teams make it feel like the commentary is so off base, it doesn't even exist inside the building. And that's clearly not true, right? I mean, the fans have been talking about the offense sucking, and sometimes it feels like the Eagles and Nick, they're just like, they act like it doesn't exist, or that we're crazies for talking about it. Well, I think people inside the organization maybe feel the same way that many outside the organization do. And I think it's all a good thing, to be frank, because the offense wasn't good enough. And if they're going to act like there was nothing to address, that would be a far bigger problem than them talking about the things they have to address. So I think it's a good thing.
So when you say the offense isn't good enough, that means you're telling me the quarterback's not good enough.
Well, it wasn't good enough last year. Certainly not.
Moving forward.
I mean, and hey, you could make an argument that 24, was not really a great year for Jalen Hurts. Now, Again, I don't criticize him for that, because the team really didn't need him to be more than he was. I thought he was a great game manager that year and what he needed to do. Don't turn the ball over, get the ball in the hands of the right players, kind of step back and let the other people you have on this roster go to work. And that's what he did. The defense dominated, Saquon dominated, and then when you needed them to step up in the Super Bowl, he was able to do it. But that doesn't change that the passing offense wasn't good. And last year, obviously, it came to a head, and that the defenses took away Saquon and took away some of the big runs, and still they were unable to pass the ball effectively enough. So, I think that's a big thing there.
Okay. So I want you to help me now with the new approach that they're potentially. And by the way, do you not agree? Now, I'm not saying they're going to run the Matthew Stafford offense. They're going to run probably a variation, or try to with a variation. Do you not agree of something implementing under center? They're going to try to do a lot more things, maybe again in motion, try to be a little bit more complex, maybe like how about this? Maybe smarten the offense up a little bit more instead of being so predictable the way it is. You agree with that, right?
Well, yeah, but what version of Jalen are we getting, Sills?
No. I'm gonna. This is where I'm gonna go here. Okay.
Okay.
So when they increase the volume of play with him, with upping that type of tempo and passing, in 2023, he had 24 turnovers in 17 games. 15 turnovers. He had an interceptions, 9 fumbles. That's 24.
That's a
His
lot of
first
turnovers.
4 games in 2024, the Super Bowl year, he had 6 turnovers, 4
Seven.
picks,
It was 7.
7. Okay. So you're talking about 31 turnovers. 31 turnovers in 21 games. By upping the volume. Prior to that, Zander, he had averaged 29 attempts passing the ball. After that, it went to 18.1 after the first 4 games. They lowered it, and get this. That meant the number of turnovers came down, and all of a sudden they started evolving like you and me had talked to. You went from 10 less attempts, dropping that number down because they knew it would drop the opportunity of turnover down. Now, are you upping the volume in this new offense? Are you not upping the volume? Is it cosmetic? You're hiring people that don't fit the kid's skill set. This looks like to me like you're building the offense for the next guy.
If they're going to run what we think they're going to run, then I would agree. But I don't know that for sure yet. And do you? I don't think any of us do.
Well, I'm only going by the hires.
Right. I understand. That's all the information you have. I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying, is there a chance that Sean Mannion, isn't stupid and comes in and says, yeah, that's not going to work with Jalen Hurts. We need to get him running. We need to, implement more of the things that are based around his skill set. I think there's a chance that happens. I agree with you. The hires don't add up to that at all, but it's not going to work if they do that, dude. It's not going to work. It's not going to work if they do that.
Okay, well, let me go to the other part of this thing here. When does Jalen Hurts go to his agent and say, they're sabotaging me? Well,
sabotaging him?
Okay, well, wait a minute.
Another quarterback on planet Earth that can throw for 2,900 yards and end up with a Super Bowl MVP in a magazine cover. Come on.
Okay, then my comeback to you would be, why are you changing it? We were 50 and 18.
Because the other stuff stopped working.
Okay. You told me 2 days ago the floor with Hurts is 11 wins.
Well, I'm trying to be, I don't think that's you got to pin that on.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, if you're telling me that
I try and give the people a little optimism and Sileo,
what I'm saying,
like it's etched in stone.
No, but wait a minute. If my bottom line is 11 wins, and get this, I'm knocked out in the playoffs, and I've been in the playoffs every year, and it may not be as cosmetically as you like.
Yeah, but does everybody want what they had last year?
If it produces winning,
and I don't want 11 wins and a playoff loss when the offense.
Okay.
I'd rather win 4 games and fucking rebuild like we did in 2020.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Do you think you're closer to a Super Bowl if you're relying on the O-line to get healthier? Or do you think you're closer to a Super Bowl by firing the entire offensive coaching staff and changing the scheme?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, when you say it like that, they're nowhere close.
But the other way they are. If the offensive line comes back healthy, you're assuming
that would mean, well, that's what I'm saying. Is there a chance that Sean Mannion doesn't change this thing as much? Like, for example,
yes,
coaches talk, right? Do you think, and just answer me this, do you think, and this is obviously just speculation, do you think Sean Mannion has had a phone conversation with Kellen Moore since he was hired?
Yes.
You do, right? Because I do too. Now I can't prove that.
No. Assistants talk to everybody.
Right. Sean Mannion gets hired, doing his job, starting to build the playbook, starting to look at his players, starting to watch tape. Let me call Shane Steichen. Let me call, I think there's a coaching fraternity. These guys can talk to each other. Absolutely. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but assuming that Sean Mannion talked to Kellen Moore for a second, what do you think Kellen told him? Yeah, I tried to run volume offense. It
Yeah.
did not work well.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think Mannion is blind to that. I mean, that's a clear part of the team's history, recent history, that would dictate the way a smart football mind would craft and create an offense for a certain player. And I think that's very fair and smart, to be frank. So I'm not really sold yet that he's going to come in here and change it entirely. I just don't know what like when we say that. All right, so what does it look? What's different then from last year? Just execution? Just the offensive line getting healthy? Is that it? Is that all you can do? You know, how many times have you heard, Sileo, people in your comments say, this simplified offense, this hairy high school offense, well, guys, we kind of knew this, but we've now confirmed here, like, this is because Jalen.
Yeah.
It's not because Nick Sirianni doesn't know what motion is. I know Prince and people out there who hate Nick Sirianni think that's true. That's not true.
I don't.
Yeah, that's not true. Doesn't mean Nick Sirianni's the greatest coach in the world. It just means that he's not that much of a dumbass.
I do not believe that at all. I think, as a matter of fact, it surely looks like they're building the offense for Tanner McKee.
Well,
or how about this? I'll take that back. A guy with Tanner McKee's skill set.
Right. That's closer. I agree with that. I mean, almost everything they've done would insinuate that.
I mean, it's almost like I said, they're building it for the next guy. And Zander, I'm going to do this again.
Well, do you think they are? I mean, it's one thing to say it looks like that, because I agree. It's another thing to say
we won't know till September.
Right. Are they building it for the next guy?
Are they building it for the next guy? Correct. Okay, here's another one here, and I'm going to go back because we had kind of a small convo on this. By the way, guys, please hit the like button here on this Good Friday. Thank you so much. Do you agree that a coach, do you think that Clint Hurt has made your two defensive tackles better?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Do you
I don't think he's given them supernatural talent. Like, but I think he's brought it out of them. Yeah, I think he's taught them the game in a way where their talent translates to the football field.
Do you think Bobby King and Vic Fangio's improved the linebacking position beyond anything you could have ever hoped for?
Yes.
Prior to that, it was a train wreck, correct?
Here's an easy answer to that. Does Zach Baum become the player Zach Baum
No way.
in any other team? I don't think so. So, yes, 100%.
Has Nick Sirianni put the best people around Jalen Hurts since he's been an Eagle quarterback?
Around him? I think he's put pretty good guys around him.
You think he's hired people to help Jalen Hurts?
Well, coaching, I guess you're talking about here.
I'm talking about coaching the player to get the best out of the player. The number one position on a football team is a quarterback, is it not?
Well, Kellen Moore was a good hire.
Kellen Moore did not get Jalen Hurts better. He didn't make him
I know, but that's not what you asked. You asked if Nick Sirianni's put people around Jalen Hurts
to make him better. To make him better.
Well, remember, Nick Sirianni.
You see, the problem with the Philadelphia Eagles is that you're right, Zander. It's about the unit getting better. Every other place, 31 other teams, it's about the quarterback getting better. Well, Sam Darnold is the greatest example of that.
Maybe the Eagles are right then. I mean, maybe it's not all about getting Jalen better.
That's the mentality that they have going back to Carson Wentz. That's the mentality that they believe that their fundamental way of building a football team, Zander, and having a unit better, the quarterback is just as, to them, he's a pawn in this whole thing,
yeah, but let me ask
everyone else.
Because I think the way you laid that out was pretty good. Like where you talk about Vic and the linebackers and Clint and the defensive tackles. But like, let's flip that the other way for a second. Do you think Clint Hurt looks like a good coach in Philly if he doesn't have Jalen Carter?
No.
He's got Thomas Booker, and somebody else. No. Do you think Vic Fangio and Bobby King have great linebacker play or have a good coaching resume out of Philly if they have Smile Monday? Now, the only reason I say that is because, okay, some of the hires can be criticized, but the most important thing is the players. And if you tell me, hey, Jalen Hurts, here's A.J. Brown, here's Devontae Smith, here's this offensive line, here's Saquon Barkley, here's Dallas Goedert. Here, I mean, yeah,
How
that's
was
enough.
How was N'Kobe prior to Bobby King and Vic showing up? He was hurt and underperforming.
Correct.
How about Vaughn was a special teams dude for 4 years in New Orleans?
Yep.
You think that coach got them better?
100%.
Okay. Well, you think if I put a quality coach like that, like a Vic Fangio around Jalen, I could maybe get more out of the quarterback?
You could get more out of him, but are you going to change his skill set?
Okay, another one.
See, this is why I think this conversation is so hard, though.
So wait, Michael Vick said that if he had Andy Reid, his first year in the pros, he would have been 10 times the player because I had a better coach than what he had with Dan Reeves.
Right.
Dan Reeves never got the most out of Elway. And all of a sudden, Kyle Shanahan gets in there and goes like this. Let me put a run game together. Let me put another guy in the backfield. All of a sudden, Elway ends his career with 2 consecutive Super Bowl wins.
Right.
That's coaching, isn't it?
Yeah, I think my gripe with this or my reservation with this is, let me ask you this. What does the very best let's assume it was a perfect world and they hired the perfect coaches for Jalen Hurts. What does the best version of him look like? What does the offense look like?
22. Dude.
Do you think that exists? Do you think that can exist again?
I think the player doesn't want to be that guy any longer.
But even if that wasn't a point.
If that was here, Zander, if you're in a fist fight with George Foreman and he hits you with the right hand, and that's what his forte is knocking your ass out. I don't care how much rope-a-dope. I don't care how much you think this and that. You're going to duck. You're going to get out of the way. George Foreman's going to hit you with a right hand and knock your ass out. Sometimes, dude, you know what? Everyone's got a plan until you get hit in the chin.
Yeah, it's very true.
And the Eagles in 24, you don't think their game plan was that really exotic, do you? They ran at people and ran them over.
Yeah, it wasn't that exotic. I mean, it wasn't.
They just beat you up, right?
Yeah, literally. Beat you up.
Just beat you up. Now, all of a sudden, when they can't beat you up anymore, the quarterback hasn't been prepared for this.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
The coaching staff did not prepare him.
So if the Eagles had the perfect coaches around Hurts, let's use last year as an example, where the offensive line wasn't perfect. Saquon Barkley didn't have a great year. What does that look like? Is he capable of lifting that team further than they went with his skill set?
If I had somebody like Kingsbury or Shane Steichen around him that knows how to do dual threat things, I think you're further along with Jalen's development. And Jalen could have taken that baton when the run game wasn't there. He could have been somebody that had been developed the entire time. I said this the Super Bowl year. Kellen Moore did more damage to Jalen Hurts and his skill set than any coordinator they had, because you know what they did? They completely abandoned the passing game, and they were the 4th worst passing team in pro football. They completely got away from it. You know what everybody's opinion was? Well, they didn't need it. Well, shit, dude. You're going to need it when there's no run game. And Hurts showed up in the Super Bowl and showed you he could do it. But they never relied on it for a consistent basis to give him the reps. You know what Jalen Hurts lacks? Passing reps. He needed to learn to fail more. You know, Peyton Manning threw 28 picks his first year in the league.
But again, you're getting back to a point where I'm not sure the skill set is there to ever get to that point.
Well, then you got the wrong dude.
Well, it doesn't mean you have the wrong dude. It just means you need other variables.
Wrong coach.
You need other variables.
Coach.
No, I'm talking about you need a offensive line.
What are you wanting to add?
The offensive line has to be better.
Okay, that goes back to my point. Well, why didn't they just say this? Well, shit, if they're going to blame Jeff Stoutland on the run game because of the health of the offensive line, why are you blaming the ills of the offense on play calling and having to formulate a new offensive approach when first you blame Stoutland for the run game? Now, all of a sudden, you're not blaming anybody else for the injuries. You're blaming now a little bit the quarterback with these 2 articles coming out that they couldn't evolve the passing game. You're trying to have your cake and eat it on both ends here with this. This is why your dad was right. Dude,
I didn't hear it. What do you say?
It just doesn't make sense why you go in a direction. I would have done this. I would have ran that pony until his hoofs fell off.
I just don't think they believe that it's going to work.
Okay.
Like they believe the growing pains or the
But that
inevitable.
way is theory. I've seen this work.
I know, but I think have you ever heard the saying, the only way out is through? I think that's where the Eagles are. Like, I think they've shown you they no longer believe that investing the resources and the assets in building on that style of play is worth it. I mean, think about it, Sills. Everything they've done in the last 4 years is away from that.
Risky.
They hired Kellen Moore. They hired even Kevin Petula, who was a pass game coordinator. Now they bring in Sean Mannion. They know they're showing us they don't want to build that way anymore. They'd rather hold the feet to the fire and let it burn and have to rebuild it than try and win the other way. That's what it appears to me. Man, I mean, if it's as simple as you're making it seem, then what the fuck are we doing here? Dude, just go get somebody to run the RPO. Go hire Cliff Kingsbury. Is he even hired right now? He's like an offensive assistant somewhere.
Okay, well then again, you're hiring a staff in concepts versus something you've done. What's more of a risk? A concept or certainty?
My point is, I just don't think what they've done is what they believe will continue to win.
So they're risking a low bar of 11 wins for something they're not sure.
Yeah, but I don't.
Bro, there's no way. Get this. I don't know if I'm right.
Do you think the league is caught up with the Eagles now?
How do you get caught up with somebody who knocks people out?
Huh. That's another. That's another catch-22 because if that's hard to have every year. Like, dude, you're not going to have a historic offensive line every year.
You know what? Wait a minute. They weren't historic in 22 and they got to the Super Bowl.
I know, but
they had Miles Sanders.
Have you heard the way people talk about the offensive line last year?
People
talk about the offensive line last year like they were the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, dude, the offensive line
last year, the 24 season.
Yeah, like they weren't great,
but not that bad.
They were above middle of the pack. They were probably easily top 12.
13, 12, somewhere in there.
And people talk about them like they were 38th.
Pass protection, they're top 5.
They were 2.
Okay.
Number 2 overall, according to PFF, graded out. Take for it what you will.
So, I mean, dude, all right, here's another one for you. How much do you put this on A.J. Brown for exposing some of the inefficiencies of the offense and Jalen Hurts?
What was that?
How much do you put on A.J. Brown for all this dust and 2 stories coming out about Jalen Hurts on exposing the inefficiencies of the offense?
0. What do you mean? It's not his fault. I mean, do I like the way he handled everything? No, I don't. In fact, I think he handled it like a child, like a petulant child. And I thought he threw his quarterback under the bus. But 2 things can be true.
You think these things ever would have come out if it wasn't for AJ saying these things?
Well, I think they would have came out because the offense was what it was. And AJ Brown, whether you like him or don't like him, he wasn't. These offensive problems would exist whether he whined or didn't. You get what I'm saying? Like, it didn't change. It doesn't change that this is a problem. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie used the phrase, we need to be a championship offense. I mean, whether A.J. Brown bitches and moans or not, that was not a championship offense. Not even close.
No way. No way.
No, I don't put it at all on A.J. Brown. Doesn't mean, there are multiple things can be true here. Doesn't mean that I think he's perfect. It's just, I don't think he's the reason for these articles or anything like that. No. Maybe he shined a bigger light on it. Maybe he took a spotlight and said, hey, over there, everybody, maybe he did that, but I don't think it's his fault. No.
I don't ever remember Andy Reid ever questioning the ability. And I don't really ever remember Andy Reid ever questioning the ability of Donovan McNabb as a passer in the pocket.
Oh, Donovan McNabb could pass the ball.
Okay.
Donovan McNabb had a hell of an arm.
Hurts.
He threw a lot of worm burners late in his year. Yeah. I get it. Not everybody loves it, but just saying, Donovan McNabb was. Do you think Donovan McNabb was a more talented quarterback than Jalen Hurts?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, me too. I don't really think it's close.
I don't really think it's close either. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Donovan was a tremendous talent.
Okay. Donovan McNabb. Hey, see this here? This is where a lot of Eagle fans, and this is where we were going. A lot of Eagle
Yeah,
fans.
I don't have a problem with that take, but that's what people go to. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about
No.
talent. I'm not
Yeah,
talking about
talent.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about winning.
That's like saying these quarterbacks here, right here.
The other thing people have to shed a little bit is, look, Jalen deserves a lot of credit for how much winning we've done, 100%.
Absolutely.
But it's a team game, guys. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't boxing. Like, you don't hold wins up in the same way for individuals. You just don't do that.
Here.
Teams win games in football. Teams win championships in football. That's not to say Jalen doesn't deserve credit for him. It's just to say, if that's the only thing you're going to tell me about the player.
Okay. Here's something here.
Not doing it for me.
Do you think Donovan McNabb is a better player than Jim Plunkett, Jim McMahon, Jeff Hostetler, Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, Nick Foles, Sam Darnold? I think, you know what they all have in common? They won Super Bowls. Every one of those guys I named just won Super Bowls. McNabb is by far a better quarterback than every one of those guys.
I know.
And these people in here will go.
I mean, look no further than the famous quarterback that never won. Who's the most famous quarterback that never won a ring? Dan Marino.
Dan Marino.
He is literally, arguably, one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever grace planet Earth. He never won.
Jim McMahon, Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls and an MVP. Hostetler, Dilfer, Brad Johnson, Nick Foles, a career backup, and Sam Darnold, a journeyman. These men all won Super Bowls. You're not going to tell me that they're better than Donovan McNabb. They're not. They're not better.
Not. Well, look, I think, again, I think they deserve credit for winning, but it's evaluating talent is different than evaluating winning. You know, there are different things in the column. You know, your win-loss record as a player on a football team is not graded the same way as your talent. It's just not. It's not the same thing. There's an individual, and then there's individuals that make up a team. There's team accolades, and then there's individual talent, assessment, and results. You know, Jalen Hurts' talent, while he is a part of the winning, is completely separate to me from the evaluation of him winning games with the Eagles, right? I mean, the Eagles have won a lot of games. Hurts is a big part of it. But individually grading his talent has nothing to do with his winning. Just like McNabb. That's why McNabb is a more talented. I mean, like Sileo just gave you the list. McNabb's more talented than all those guys.
All those guys.
Yeah, right. But it's a different evaluation. You know, you're evaluating the talent. It's like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's never won a ring. Is anybody going to seriously tell me in the chat right now that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Josh Allen?
They will.
Or Joe Burrow?
Yes.
Or Justin Herbert?
Yeah, they will tell you that.
Oh, that's insane. That's insane.
I know. And like again.
I mean, come on, guys.
I put that list out there. I put that list out there to show you that again. Okay, the Super Bowl does not mean just like the paycheck. Okay, look at the highest paid quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks. Not one guy won a Super Bowl.
Justin is trash.
You're paid on a bill.
Ramir, you don't need Ramir. Have you ever watched Justin Herbert? I mean, seriously. All right, the guy has never won. All right, he had interceptions in a playoff game. Fine. Have you ever watched Justin Herbert? We're talking about talent here. We're not talking about team records. Justin Herbert is literally one of the most talented players on the planet right now.
Here's a simpler one. You think Aaron Rodgers is more talented?
I can't reason with that. Ramir, I love you. I can't reason with you. If you don't think Justin Herbert has talent, I don't know what the fuck you want.
I'm not going there either anymore. How about this one here? I mean, are you really going to go down that lane and go, Tom Brady is more talented as a quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? You're out of your mind. He's not.
It's a great example. He's not. Yeah.
Brady's got an innate ability to win. Hurts has that. By the way, I don't think you or I are ever saying, and you've never heard me say this, I may kid people and I may kind of jab people in the sides with it a bit with my Spurs. But dude, I don't think this guy's not a good quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback.
He's a good quarterback, definitely.
He's a good quarterback.
Yeah. I think he's a great. I think he's better than good. I think he's a great quarterback. But I think his limitations are harder. I think his limitations are harder to overcome than other quarterbacks' limitations.
Yeah. So do you agree with me on this thing here with Sirianni? Sirianni, do you think he you know what? Maybe even me. You think Sirianni really has, like, for putting up with Hurts' bullshit now and that one changing the plays?
So it's clear that's your takeaway, that there's a lot of Hurts bullshit going on.
There's a lot of Hurts bullshit. He's got to fucking rifle through the changing of the plays, the Packer game when he's going for it. Him and AJ are going rogue. Maybe Nick puts up with more bullshit than we know.
I do think a fair point in defense of Jalen with that is, dude, when you have as much change as he's had
and success
and change, right? I mean, and they go to they're together in his career. For many, it's not. Like you have to understand that he's a human too. And when you have a coordinator come in who wants to run something or some of these other, it doesn't surprise me that Jalen might be like, dude, I don't really want to listen. You're going to be gone next year.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Pat Mahomes. Again, it's not a perfect comp, but he's at Andy Reid. A lot of these great quarterbacks have play callers or coaches that they're with, that they grow with, that they learn from. I mean, Caleb Williams, you know what the big talk in Chicago is?
Topic here.
You got Mike North coming up. Year 2 of Caleb and Ben. Like, dude, we've been able to say that with Jalen once. So I'm not using that as an excuse for Jalen, but it makes logical sense as to why Jalen Hurts would say, shut the fuck up, Kevin Petula, or shut the fuck up, Sean Mannion. Sorry, I shouldn't be cursing. It's Good Friday. We already talked about that. But again, you get my point. It's like, I understand that. I mean, that's human element right there. Like Hurts is like, dude, you guys are here for a cup of coffee. I'm not.
I think you just brought something up that we need to talk about here and go down this lane. I think what you just did here, because you just made me think of this. So wait a minute now. A.J. Brown is frustrated with the offensive approach. Would you agree?
100%, yeah.
Okay. Is he collateral damage to Hurts being frustrated with the amount of OCs that have been coming in on the offense, and where Jalen Hurts is now this? In the huddle, he does this. He's constantly changing plays. He's constantly changing plays. And that now has affected how A.J. Brown sees the approach of the offense. Isn't this more so, again, on what they're doing inside the building and how they're running this offense, that we agree the quarterback is frustrated? You just said it with the amount of offensive coordinators that they brought in, right? How come? Okay, that's affected Brown too.
I think so. But again, some of those are fair, but at the end of the day, the thing that's upset Brown has nothing to do with the coordinator change. It has everything to do with the fact that despite what coordinator they had, the problems on the offense remain the same. That's with Kellen Moore, who's arguably one of the better passing coordinators out there. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, you say, have they put good people around Hurts? Like, Kellen Moore to me is a grand slam hire for a quarter. I mean, dude, let's be real. Kellen Moore has people talking about Tyler Shuck as a guy. I mean, seriously. He made Dak Prescott a $60 million player. He had the number one offense in Dallas 2 or 3 times. I mean, dude, that's a grand slam hire. For Jalen Hurts, not for the team. I'm talking about for the quarterback. You're talking about you want to coach and make his talent better.
No, he didn't make the quarterback better. He made the offense better.
But that's my point, Sills, is that if Kellen Moore didn't make Hurts' skill set get to that point, who is going to?
Dude, it was the worst statistical year in his career. How did he get better?
Because the skill set.
Because they went less to him.
Because the skill set isn't there.
Oh, Zander's going to have a broken heart here. The Jags just signed Trayvon Walker to a 4-year, $100 million extension, which includes $77 million and $50 in guarantees.
Dude, that sucks. That sucks, dude. I wanted Trayvon Walker, but I knew it was never happening. I mean, it is what it is.
Boy, they're paying a lot of money on that side of the football on defense, boss.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
boy, I'll tell you, man, you got that kid Allen, and you got this guy, you're paying a bucket of money there, bro. And I think that Devin Lloyd means that I don't know what they're going to do with him now, because they ain't paying all them guys all that money. There ain't no way.
Trayvon, so that's pretty cheap. 4-year, $100 million? It's $5 million less than Jalen Phillips just got.
Whew. How come the Eagles didn't go after that?
I think I don't know if that they might have, but I don't think he wanted to trade him. Gladstone. Obviously just paid him.
Man, why not go get that money, man?
Well, I mean, come on. You can't just assume that he was available.
What? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, no. I mean, how you going to say why didn't the Eagles do that? I mean, it takes two to tango. The Jaguars might have
I got it. I got it. You're right. Number 1 overall pick,
Yeah.
All right, dude. So, like, where are they going? Like, where does this lead? All of this, does this lead to good things?
I think it leads to where we need to get to ultimately. And that's either, Jalen Hurts shows us this year that he can run whatever offense is needed to win, and they go out there and have great success. He'll get a $60 million contract. The Eagles will probably be very successful. And again, people can get mad at us for talking about this. At the end of the day, it's in Hurts' I mean, it's up to Hurts. If Hurts wants to dominate, you guys can come in here and say, hey, look, we told you so. All right, perfect. It's not on me. I know you guys think it's on me. It's not on us. All right? We are just commentating on it. It has nothing to do with me. So Jalen can go out there and deliver the goods, or he doesn't deliver the goods, and I think we are going to see some massive change in Philly in the next 12 to 18 months.
There's no chance in hell he's going to run that offense the way they want. No way.
Well, we don't, again.
I didn't say that they wouldn't have success there a little bit, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to revert back because the quarterback is going to insist on it. And that's going to be an ugly ending in Philly. This is going to be here's a Big Sills bold prediction. You ready? The Jalen Hurts Philadelphia Eagles divorce will be uglier than the Carson Wentz divorce.
If the divorce happens, I agree. Because it has to be. The Carson Wentz divorce kind of was like,
not crazy.
It was preceded by everything needed for it to be not as messy of a divorce.
Yep.
It's like
I think the no trade has something to do with that.
I agree. That's kind of what I'm alluding to. The no trade and the success of the player. So, it's going to be ugly. The other curveball I'd throw in there is Jalen's agent. Carson Wentz did not have Clutch Sports or a guy or I don't know who his agent was, but Jalen's agent is not going to allow, it to look bad on the quarterback. So I think that's going to be ugly quick.
Ooh. So if you're saying that
Nicole Lynn, remember we got
she's now the president of Clutch.
We got she's feisty, and she has to be. That's how she's had success. I'm not knocking her for it, but you're right. It could create a little bit of a fight here.
How much do they tolerate of the slander of Hurts?
Well,
before they make a move.
Nicole Lynn.
You're not going to let that quarterback take it in the face if he's the face of Jordan.
Nicole Lynn, I got a question for you. Did Jalen Hurts do enough last year to silence every critic? Did Jalen Hurts do it? Did Jalen Hurts, is this unfair criticism of Jalen Hurts?
Howie, I'll tell you this. Okay, fair enough, Howie. But I'll tell you.
Not.
Wait, Howie, I'll tell you this, though. His resume is not just 17 games. It's also 5 years of tremendous success no other quarterback in the NFC has had.
Don't tell Howie.
My guy.
Howie doesn't give a shit about that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Name me a quarterback in your entire time being the general manager of the football team that has had success under.
I'm just telling you, Howie, that would be the one thing to not use.
Hey, Howie, do me a favor. Trade me.
And Howie will say, all right, I'll take 2 first.
Well, then guess what? Because you gave me that no trade, I'll pick Pittsburgh, Minnesota.
I already know where they're trading him.
Dolphins.
Nope.
Let me get one more.
One more guess. Mr. International, a B? Come on, brother. the fuck scale you grading on?
Hold on. Give me one more.
You're going to get it. Come on, you know.
Texans.
Yep. Nailed it. Quarterbacks are stiff. Their defense is historic. It's his hometown. It's a perfect homecoming. He takes that team. I bet you Jalen Hurts would go there and win a Super Bowl with that roster. With that
I
defense,
think he won a lot there.
it's perfect. Perfect situation for them.
Oh my! Yeah. Woo! This is going to be a great 20s, dude. I got to tell you, 2025. Zander came to me. I remember at the end of the season, he goes like this. You know, man, there was something about this year. I don't know. It just kind of limped along. This offseason here, bro, has been this has been yummy.
Yummy.
This has been yummy.
Almost as yummy as my aristocrat cherry cola drink here.
Another fancy drink. Look at you, but these two. What do you got? 6 packs of fancy colas?
But we can put a pack of soda.
Yesterday the can was pink. This one's red. Holy crap!
Yeah, it was a fucking variety pack.
Let me guess. Your old lady buys that for you. Is that right? She buys those things for you. No.
No. Nope.
Hey, look at me, man. I'm like the rest of you. I'm American. See, I got American Coke here, man.
I wish I love Coke, dude. You know what my weakness like?
You've got me on one though. I used to do 2, and you got me on one.
Some people like booze. You know what my guilty snack would be? You ever have like the Mexican Cokes that come in the glass bottles?
God,
bro, those are so good.
All nice and cold and all that.
Oh my gosh, the Mexican Cokes are so good.
They are, man.
They're so good.
Absolutely, dude. Is this criticism over the top on Jalen?
I mean, Jalenites will say, yeah. I don't think it is because I think the team believes that they've assembled a roster good enough to be great. And their offense has been less than great for multiple years. I mean, you brought up Howie Roseman. That's why I was laughing. It's like, Howie's going to laugh at that. And he's going to be like, dude, I assembled a roster and we had the 28th ranked passing offense. So, hey, Nicole Lynn, if you want to play hardball with me, you're playing hardball with the wrong dude. All right. Like, I'll take 2 first-round picks. I'll go pick up somebody, and we'll be good.
You know one thing I love about that guy, honestly, even though, he gets a little upset with some of the crap I say, I'll tell you what he is, man. He's pretty patient, and he doesn't get emotional, Howie.
Yeah, Howie's very patient.
He doesn't get emotional either.
Yeah, he's very – look, Howie's great. That's the other thing. I mean, you brought up Howie's past. Like, Howie's a better GM now than he ever has been.
Ever.
And he hasn't had the greatest last 2 years, but I do think some of that is dictated by the tough situation they're in. I mean, me and John laid out the
roster you have.
Yeah, and when you draft as well as you have, it's tough with contracts. I mean, the cap is a thing. I know people like to act like Howie's a cap wizard. He is, but doesn't mean you can just go crazy with it, So I think he's had some tough situations. I think for the most part, he's made solid decisions. And I mean, you give that guy, a lot of draft picks. I'm pretty sure Howie's going to turn that into gold. So Nicole Lynn better, she might be feisty, but she's not messing with, one of these other stiff GMs in the league.
May I ask you a question here on just? Let me go down this list here. I'm going to ask you something here about quarterbacks in the NFL. Just craps and giggles here, just to get a sense of I want to see where you think he is in the NFL. And I'm going to go down the list here. Mike Nort's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. So, better and worse. There's 32 of these guys. You think Hurts is better or worse than Josh Allen?
Worse.
Worse.
You had to start with Josh Allen.
Is he better than Malik Willis?
Yes.
Okay. Is he better than Drake May?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, I mean, I think Drake May is a higher upside.
Okay, he's better right now.
He's better right now. Yes. Okay. We're living in the real world right now. I'm not living off
26. That's fair because I don't think he is, but I think he is today.
He is today.
Is he better than Geno Smith?
Yes.
Okay. Is he better than Lamar Jackson?
No.
No. Is he better than Joe Burrow?
No.
Okay. Is he better than Shedeur Sanders?
Yes.
Okay. Is he better than Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Even at that age, no.
I don't think so.
Is he better than CJ? Is he better than CJ
Yes.
Stroud?
I think CJ Stroud is a stiff.
Okay. Is he better than Daniel Jones?
Yes.
Okay. Is he better than Trevor Lawrence?
Yes.
Mm.
It's close, but Trevor's, I mean, look, he hasn't. And we talked about talent earlier. Trevor has inherent traits that are better, but dude, your talent has to translate to the football field. Like, I'm not blaming his team around him.
Is he a more talented player than Hurts?
He is. When it comes to the arm, yes.
Okay. Is Cam Ward, is he better than Cam Ward?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Is he better than Bo Nix?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. Is he better than Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Is he better than Kirk Cousins?
Yes. Right now, yes.
Okay.
I think Kirk in his prime, though, would have ate in the Eagles offense with AJ and Devontae, but I digress.
Is he better than Justin Herbert?
No.
Is he better than Jaden Daniels? Talent.
I think he is. I would put it this way. I would take Jalen Hurts if it were up to me, but
Okay. I don't think he's
I know you wouldn't, but I would.
Okay. Is he better than Caleb Williams? Talent.
No.
Okay.
No. People one day are going to learn how talented Caleb Williams is. It's not, people don't know it yet, but he's got crazy fucking talent.
Okay. Is he better than Jared Goff? Talent.
No.
Correct. Is he better than Jordan Love?
I kind of a push to me.
Push. Okay. I got a column for that. Is he better than Kyler Murray?
Talent-wise, no.
Yeah. Okay. No, I agree. Is he better than, let's go Michael Penix?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Is he better than Bryce Young?
No.
Okay.
If Bryce Young was 6'5", he'd be the best quarterback in football.
I think Bryce Young's better too. Is Jalen better than Taylor? What is his name? Slaw?
Tyler Shuck.
Tyler Shuck.
That's what I mean. That's who Kellen Moore is making people like, oh, Kellen Moore is a fucking hell of a coach for a quarterback. I mean, I don't want to hear another thing. So, yeah, he's better than Tyler Shuck. But give Tyler Shuck another couple years with Kellen, he might not be. Who knows?
Okay. I agree. Is he better than Baker Mayfield? Another push?
I'd probably take Hurts over Mayfield.
Hmm.
Where are you on that?
I'm taking Baker.
Are you?
Yeah. Is he better than Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah, he's better than Jacoby Brissett.
Yes. Is he better than Matthew Stafford?
No.
Is he better than Brock Purdy?
I gotta say no.
Me too.
I know fans are gonna. I know everybody's gonna get mad at that one, but
I'm going to make a comment on that in a minute here.
I don't know, man.
Is he better? Is he better than Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I think so.
He's thinking.
I love when I say one still disagree with, and he just does the whistle.
Okay, so Hurts is better than 6 quarterbacks in the NFL with one push. That puts him at the bottom.
I said more than 6.
Oh, 11. My bad. 11. We got 11. He's better than 11. He's better than 11 of the quarterbacks of the 32 teams. That's at the bottom of the league.
Who did I go too far on? Oh, people saying probably Bryce Young is what people are mad at. Dude, if Bryce Young, I know it's an if, like it's crazy, but if that dude wasn't a short shit, he would be a fucking stud. Crazy arm, great processor, mobile, moves around. I mean, if Bryce Young could see, that dude would be a menace. Maybe I went too far saying to be one of the best in the game, but Bryce Young's got some crazy talent. I'm telling you right now.
Howard Eskin just said you're right. Just so you know, Bryce is better. Just so you know, because
Bryce is better.
So wait a second. I got one last big question before we get to Mike North. Before we get hollered at here on a Good Friday. You ready? Do you agree? And let me go down this lane here. So they are going to try to implement. Follow along, Mr. Fancy Coke drinker.
I got you.
They're going to try to get some Sean McVay offense into the Philadelphia Eagle huddle this coming season. Motions, under center, all of that, right? Is that correct?
Presumably, Sileo.
Presumably. Under one of the quarterbacks in the league right now, who do you think this new offense would prefer run this offense? Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts?
Oh, Brock Purdy. It's not a question. What do you mean? I mean, the Shanahan system. Kyle Shanahan just wasted 3 first-round picks and chose Brock Purdy, who was the last pick of the draft. I mean, if we live with the assumption that they're playing the Shanahan offense, it's not even a question. I mean, that's like saying who do you want to play the RPO offense, Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy? The answer is Jalen Hurts. Well, you want to run the Shanahan offense? The answer is obvious. That's never in the history of his career been his skill set, which is why, again, I can't get myself to believe fully that this is what they're going to commit to. It makes no sense.
I get it. By the way, just so you know, everyone in here, Mike North kind of took a shit on me out there earlier in the week about Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he did.
Mike North is Jalenite.
Oh, no, he is. He's a Jalenite.
He's a Jalenite. So, Mike, you need to watch more Jalen Hurts. He's got his problems, my friend.
Wait a second. Mike thinks that Jim Plunkett, Jeff Hostetler, Trent Dilfer, and Brad Johnson, and Nick Foles, and Sam Darnold are better than Dan Marino based on his ability because they won Super Bowls.
Well, that's where if I were talking to Mike and I wanted to disagree with him, my presentation would be that he is a great winner, but I'm not talking about the team game. Again, this isn't boxing. It's not golf.
Yeah.
It's not tennis. This is a team game. Yeah. And, even more so than a sport like basketball, this is so team driven. It's so different than, a superstar sport like basketball. So Jalen's a great winner, but that doesn't mean he's the most talented guy in the world.
Let's get to some of these supers before we get hollered at by Mike.
Holy shit. We didn't do our supers yet. It's 428, dude.
I know. Mike's going to
have 4 of them or 5 of them.
Mike's going to kick my ass.
Oh, look at Preston using my full name. I heard that my full name.
Your old man dropped Alexander. I was like, who's that?
I love my full name. People were like, oh, is Zander going to be mad? I love my full name. Are you kidding me? Alexander Krause. That's a great name. All right. I have great pride in my own name. All right. I know some of you don't have any pride in who you are. I got pride in my name. Alexander Krause.
My name
Don't let Big Sills fool you on this great Good Friday. Him and some in the chat were saying CJ Stroud could win in Philly.
I never said that.
CJ Stroud is a stiff.
That is an absolute lie.
I
never said that. By the way, my name is Donato William Sileo.
What is it?
Donato. It's Danny in Italian, Junior.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, no, your birth certificate says Daniel.
I think so, but
it says Daniel.
My grandpa was
not Donato. Maybe if you go over to Italy, it's Donato.
Yeah, no.
You were born in Connecticut, guy.
My grandpa's name is Donato.
Yeah, but your grandpa was off the boat, wasn't he? My great grandparents were right off the boat.
Move on here.
Yeah, right. I took you another woodshed. Although you took me to the woodshed the other day after when this report dropped. Kokorski says this might rub people the wrong way. Would you trade Would you trade for Thibodeau as a last resort? I'm hearing Giants want a day 3 pick. Hell yeah.
I like.
I don't know that he's as good of a player as people think. But
no, I think he's a little overrated.
Yeah, me too. Ramir says it's a team game, but the QB is the first to blame.
Of course. And he's the first to get praised.
Exactly right. I mean, Ramir, he also had a running back that set records, and he's the guy who's on the cover of Health Magazine and on with The View and on with the – I mean, come on, dude. I mean, Ramir, call it both ways, my guy. JD says Jalen Hurts isn't athletic enough to run the 22 offense anymore. The league moves fast.
I'll tell you what, Mike Nort's guy, I'll say it again. Caleb Williams wasn't coached like Jared Goff was. The Philadelphia Eagles are making a mistake in the way they're coaching Jalen Hurts.
One day, I think people are going to see how much talent Caleb Williams has. That doesn't mean he's going to translate to the football field.
He's got to improve that 55%.
I know, but that guy has some raw talent, dude. That guy makes some throws that 2 or 3 people on planet Earth.
Mike likes the Pollock, Mitchell Trubisky. That's who he likes.
Well, I have a hilarious Trubisky story, but that's not. Mike Cannon says if they move on from Hurts, who trades for him? Houston. I said it.
Yeah, Houston.
Short for Manone. Manone. I think that's what you mean. The Italian word. My grandmother.
Not a moron. I don't know.
All right, so it's good show.
All right, dude. Hey, make sure you eat your fish today. Make sure you have yourself a good one, man.
Yes, sir. All right, my friend. Thank you, brother.
I'll send you something on Sunday, man.
Happy Easter for sure, my friend. Thank you, man.
You bet. Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. Care what y'all say. Without further ado, Mike North. So this has been a grand slam week for me because all the shit that I told you about the guy, now everyone is starting to say about the guy, and Mike North knows this very well. Jeremy Fowler and guys like Tim McManus and a guy like Jeff McClain. People that are in the building covering the team, you don't get a keep fob the next day if you're writing lies about somebody. Somebody gave you that stuff. You know what made Mike North the great legend in Chicago? The PR department couldn't get to him. That's what made him a legend. Without further ado, my fratello from another mother, my brother from another mother, the legendary man himself from the Windy City, right here on a Good Friday, and I want to wish him a happy Easter. My Paisan brother, Mike North, joins us right now here on the program. How you doing?
I look like the grandfather of the Joker right now. I'll be honest with you. I mean, this is something else. I got a combination Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, and Strother Martin right now with this look. What's going on, handsome? I'm going to tell you something right now. It finally came to fruition. I finally had enough, but this was the beautiful part about it, folks. Where's everybody been? It's been me and Big Sills for the last 3 or 4 months discussing this and whoever he talked to on his wonderful show. But that was it. Now everybody's jumping in on this and everybody's got their complaints or their plaudits, but everybody's late to the dance here because Dan is not a detractor. He thinks they can do better.
Yeah.
Okay. I am a big Hurts fan. Like somebody said today, they posted a picture on X of him holding the MVP trophy and the Super Bowl trophy. And they said, unless your quarterback did this, shut the fuck up. Period. So now Adam Schefter jumping in. Just to be clear, and this is from Pro Fan Talk, Jalen Hurts, a coach's son, who's had 5 different play callers in the NFL, 2 Super Bowl appearances, a chip, and an MVP is not coachable. Y'all go ahead and run with that. That's what I've been saying. Because any other quarterback who has 5 coordinators in 5 years falls to the death for the most part in the National Football League. People make excuses. I mean, I remember Jay Cutler. People making excuses for him. 17 years ago, the Bears made one of the worst decisions of all time. They signed Jay Cutler, or they traded for Jay Cutler, and then kept him for 8 years. And he went a 2-11 versus the Packers, and he only went to 2 playoff games, and he went 1-1. So what I'm trying to tell everybody is I know Dan and I have had our disagreements, and now people are jumping in. Another guy, Jalen Hurts recorded the third most TDs through 5 seasons as a starter in NFL history, 161. So now where there was some negative, there's people coming out going, what are you people talking about? You have a different quarterback. You may never see the playoffs.
How many of those were tush push?
Well, that's one. If that's your favorite play, you go with it.
Okay.
You know, what are you going to do? Hand off to Barkley so he could get a 2-yard loss? What happens if you have a quarterback that can't do the tush push?
Mike, let me go here with this then.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So, and let me go back. Do you think Jeff Hostetler and Sam Darnold are exceptional quarterbacks?
No.
Do you think Nick Foles is an exceptional quarterback?
No.
Okay. Well, that means you can.
Because I saw him play for the Bears. People thought he'd be.
Okay.
But he wasn't.
So that means then a mediocre quarterback or average quarterback can win a Super Bowl. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Well,
because
that's my position. My position is this. I don't think Hurts is exceptional. I think he's good. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's exceptional. I think he's good on a great team. I think exceptional. This is why, Mike, have you ever heard a Super Bowl MVP ever questioned in his abilities from their own? This stuff's coming from the organization. You're not getting those people walk back into the building the next day. They're going to be in the building on Monday. Okay. So my question is, I've never heard a guy with all these things that you're saying have his ability questioned. His ability to be able to play in the pocket is being questioned. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Look, I'm of one of these guys that doesn't blame the quarterback for everything like you were talking to Zander about. I don't do that. But I do what you echoed earlier. Agree. They deserve the blame for if things go wrong, and they deserve the credit if things go right. The problem was that this year things were going right. And then a wide receiver started crying, wanted the Eagles to change their offense. And for 3 weeks, they lost because they changed because of a wide receiver. That's on the coaching staff, and that's on everybody else. All of a sudden, his style of play is not good enough. But when they made it to the Super Bowl with his style of play, he was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I hear all that, but in the offseason,
you're taking a chance, Dan. That's all I'm saying. It's better to know the devil you got than the devil you don't know.
But Mike, okay, here, and I'm going to go where you just went. Yeah. Okay, then why did they fire the entire offensive coaching staff if AJ wasn't right? Because they fired the entire offensive coaching staff. They got a brand new coordinator. They got a Sean McVay guy, and they want to go down that lane. I'm with you, Mike. Mike, you had 4 years where you won 2 NFC championships. Yeah. You won a Super Bowl.
A dream.
Why are you changing then if you are the Eagles on this? You were 50-18. Why are you changing?
I agree.
If you don't think that quarterback is
Why did Brian Billick end his career by changing from Trent Dilfer to Elvis Gerbach?
It makes no sense.
Why?
Ego.
Right. That's what it was, because he was known as an offensive guru.
Minnesota.
And his defenses got the job done. So he said, well, wait a minute. What about me? He actually threw a Super Bowl team away because he wasn't happy, which sounds like the same thing with this, although Jalen Hurts is 10 times heads and tails better than Trent Dilfer. My point has always been, it got to the point this year, Danny, where people actually wanted Tanner McKee to play until he played. And I remember the day I was on with you the week after he played. And you said, okay, I get it. Because the grass may be greener on the other side till you get to the other side. I can name you great quarterbacks that never won. Off the top of my head, Warren Moon, Dan Marino, Danny Fouts, Randall Cunningham. Look, if Randall Cunningham was on this team, okay, because unlike everybody else that kisses the ass of Michael Vick and other, I'll say, black quarterbacks, Randall Cunningham was as good, if not better, than any of them.
I think he's if Randall Cunningham were in today's game, you'd look at him like
he'd lose his mind. He would, if
he'd be like Mahomes.
I'm 100. He was before Mahomes.
Yes,
they didn't get it done. The fumble, this and that. Look, it's not that I love Jalen Hurts. It's that when business is good and he's your main guy, that you can trust, and he'll be in the gym. And if stuff's leaking out, shame on the Eagles. I think that every organization, though, has people that think they can change things for the better. And for me, it would be hard to walk away from a 2-time Super Bowl quarterback, regardless of how he plays the position, and replace him with somebody else. And the pressure will be on that person who takes over if they do. And does Jalen Hurts win going somewhere else? I think so.
Okay, here's what
this is good stuff.
Here's what Jeff McClain, who is the beat writer for the Inquirer.
Oh my God.
Now, here's what he said yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
He said that all the way to the owner is all in on the new offensive coaching changes and all the new differences that they're going to go with the approach. And that if the quarterback, I'm paraphrasing this part of it, doesn't come along and decides not to stop changing plays, he's either going to be with us or he's not going to be with us. But we're moving forward here. Mike, when you're hearing this stuff, and again, these are people that covered the team here, and I'm promising you, the way that team controls the narrative, they've called my bosses 3 times and tried to get me fired.
All NFL teams do it, but you're right. We've talked about it.
That I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're not going to allow those guys back in the building with the key fob in there and sitting there asking Nick Sirianni questions unless you've been giving some of this intel, or maybe there's a disgruntled coach like Jeff Stoutland that's giving them the insight. My problem with this whole thing is that, and I agree, Mike, if you've had all this success,
oh my God,
then why are they changing?
It bothers me, but why do coaches leave Sirianni? I mean, maybe there's something about Sirianni that rubs people the wrong way. I know that you haven't kept your offense.
But they've empowered him.
They have empowered him. And you know what? I'll tell you what. I don't think there's any love lost between Jalen Hurts and some teammates who probably don't have the same devotion as he does, as far as he's taking all the heat. A.J. Brown takes heat for being a moron. And for a guy that maybe doesn't come through at key times, like in the playoffs. But Jalen Hurts, at the end of the day, I think what people are having a problem with today, as I read X, it was about 50-50, where some people are going, what's the matter with you people? Anybody would want a pro football team that's had the last 4 years at the Philadelphia Eagles.
No doubt.
I mean, how retarded can you be in your thinking? So, I think if there's a lesson to be learned here, I think what one person said today, because I kept reading this because I knew I was going to be on this great show. And it's a great show.
Thank you.
And I think the thing I got out of it is what one guy said. Philadelphia wants the perfect quarterback. They just don't want the winningest. I got to tell you, the last 4 months, I heard a lot of, oh, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. Yeah, but you won the game. Yeah, but he doesn't do this.
This is where you and I listen. You're looking more about cosmetics of how a team looks versus the ultimate W and L.
Just win the game.
But guess this, Mike. I could say this all I want, but at the end of the day, this is what the coaching staff and the organization is doing.
Well, but that doesn't mean we have to.
I could sit there and have an opinion, but I'm watching what they're doing.
Oh, that's just like the Bears with this Hammond situation. George McCaskey says the other day, the owner of the Bears, I think Bear fans will be okay with it. He doesn't still get his fan base. You're talking to 60-year people been following the Bears in Chicago. And all of a sudden you think everybody's going to be fine if you move to Indiana. Okay? And everybody's going to be right. The ownership, to me, they're the ones that cause more problems, just like the owner you just said. Did the owner really say if he doesn't want to if he switches plays, we got to go in a different direction? Really? My God, what, the Super Bowls bother him? My God, how ungrateful. If I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm looking at people, and I believe me, folks, I fired on them all, from Ditka to Urlacher to them all. I followed on them all. 30 years, Frank Thomas, all the top guys. Okay? But I never fired on Jim McMahon. Because he got us to the promised land. You got a guy that got you to the promised land twice and you want to change things up? All of a sudden, you're all geniuses.
They are. They're changing it.
I know. Well, now let me ask you something. If they decide to trade Hurts, can you get? They may not make the playoffs next year.
Mike, here is a coach's responsibility to get the most by hiring the best assistant coaches, say a defensive tackle, linebackers, DBs, quarterback, wide receiver. A coach's responsibility is to get the best coaches, to get the best out of the personnel that's put on a team, right? Well, wait a minute. You're hiring something that a skill set of that player doesn't do. He doesn't run a Sean McVay offense. He runs an RPO offense. You're hiring a drop-back coach and a drop-back system for a guy who struggles in drop-backs and turning his back. He doesn't want to play under center. He doesn't want to have progression reading. He's a one-read guy. But what, Mike, to your point, that's all resulted in winning.
That's right.
But the Eagles want to change that. Why?
You know what? It's hard for me to have a restaurant that's been successful for 4 years, like a steakhouse, and go, you know what? Let's close it up and open a breakfast joint.
That's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. They're basically. I have the most successful fast food place in Chicago, and I want to go Chinese now. I want to change it to Chinese.
It makes no sense.
So sometimes minds, and I don't know where Sirianni, I even heard his name on this. Here's another thing. Are the same people that have hired and fired the previous coaching regimes that have been with Nick Sirianni, are they doing the hiring this time? Did they do the hiring again? So did their past hires work? Are they that egotistical that thinks they can plug anybody in? It sounds like they are. So we'll see what happens.
What they believe. Okay, so let's go here then now. Okay, say you're Hurts, and you brought this up a couple minutes ago. Mike, could it get to this? So their last two offensive coordinators, Mike, the guy they just hired, Sean Mannion from Green Bay, has been a coach 25 months. The guy prior to that was Nick Sirianni's buddy, who had never called a play in his life and only had quality control. You know what that is? Go get me some donuts and get me a coffee job, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Does it get to a point where some of the things that are said about Jalen not being coached and not wanting to hear anything, could it be this? This guy doesn't know shit about the offense. This guy doesn't know shit how to win. I'm not listening to that. I'm going to call my own. How do you know that hasn't led to this? The quarterback being completely frustrated with the hirings of the offensive coordinators.
Never says
and
a word.
Also this, that A.J. Brown is not being affected by it too because the offense is so out of sync because nobody trusts the coaches and what they brought the last.
Okay, now let me ask you something. When I started coming on your show, the offensive coordinator was under siege.
Yes, Kevin.
So it's not just about Jalen Hurts. It's now, and now if things don't work out, it won't still be about Jalen Hurts. And I'll tell you the guy that has skated through this whole thing is Saquon Barkley. I heard Zander bring him up. You know, that year we had Saquon Barkley. Well, last year you didn't. Last year you didn't have Saquon Barkley. He came, he showed up, but he didn't play. And would you agree to me that he has escaped major criticism for being a Walter Payton-like back the year before, okay, to what he became this year?
Well,
which was okay, you're going to get 20 yards, but we'll get you.
I'll tell you what here's been my opinion the last 2 years on Barkley.
Thank you, Mark.
I think Barkley was a very overrated back with an exceptional season when he came in here a year ago with a great O-line. Now the conversation in Philadelphia is, well, the offensive line was injured. So Barkley, like Hurts, okay?
Yeah.
With injuries in the offensive line. That's why Barkley
let's say that then, because all we're doing is giving the quarterback on the right.
I never in a million years.
I know sometimes you're screaming into an echo chamber. People don't listen.
I never thought Saquon Barkley was a Hall of Fame type player ever.
I was shocked with the.
You know what people in here were saying to me, that he's better than like Derrick Henry. I'm like, he's not in Derrick Henry's.
Okay, were you shocked with the? I was shocked he had that year.
Me too. Stunned.
I was stunned. I
Stunned.
said the Giants aren't stupid.
Stunned.
But he came to the right place at the right time. Hurts benefited off it.
He's a one-year wonder.
That's it. And now what do? You need a running game. So,
Yeah.
See, there's more broken. See, the one thing that isn't broken in my eyes, if you tell me you're going back with Jalen Hurts next year at quarterback, and that's final, I'm going, thank you.
Yeah, but
Thank
Mike,
you.
I'm not going. If you're changing Jalen Hurts or trying to change him in his 7th year to being Matthew Stafford, you're not going to win.
Listen,
Mike, do you think coaches can hurt a player by putting them in a bad position?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it my whole life.
Doing here.
Yeah. Well, Jalen Hurts rises above it because, like I said, I've never seen a guy have 5-6 offensive coordinators and is successful.
But now the organization is saying they're not going down that lane anymore.
Well, anymore? Well, that's great. What happened the first 4 times, for God's sake,
Mike, I'm just telling you what is now happening.
You know what?
In Philly.
It's amazing because I really think even Adam Schefter today saying, I don't get it. And I never did.
I don't get it either.
No, I don't get why they're changing.
I would run that pony until his hooves fell off.
I'm telling you, I would run out of the. You know what? I would install Wishbone with Jalen Hurts.
No shit.
I would do all sorts of trick running, like not trick formations, running formations,
RPOs, passes. All that stuff.
I mean, if you, like I said, now, am I to believe if Caleb Williams was on Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts was on the Bears, that I'm going to be upset? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And Caleb Williams is great. I mean, he was great last year. The year before, he wasn't. Like you said, he throws for 56, 57%. So if he came to the Eagles next year and Hurts came to the Bears, we have as good a chance as the Eagles of making the playoffs.
Because you have better coaching.
What you might be right about that. But see,
I'll tell you what,
Sirianni can show off his Super Bowl trophy. That's the thing.
But here, Mike, do you agree Ben Johnson coached Jared Goff differently than Caleb Williams?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe he coached the offense differently than Eddie Bear offense has ever been coached.
Now, get this. He did the quarterback differently, or coached the offense differently. Sirianni wants to now coach the offense differently to fit the quarterback's skill. This is
I have nothing against that. I've always wondered if you have, I'll give you we had a kid named Rashaan Salam, may he rest in peace. He played for Colorado. He was an option runner. As soon as the Bears drafted him,
Heisman winner.
Yeah, I said as soon as the Bears drafted him out of Colorado, very next day, everybody's going, "Oh, we got Rashaan Salam, Heisman Trophy." I said he's finished because we don't run the option. The NFL did not run the option back when he played, and they still don't. So he never made it. And he was
a Colorado. They ran that option.
They ran the option down your throat. It's like, playing for Oklahoma when they had the wishbone. And I've always said I love those plays. And if you could teach a team how to run the wishbone out of the wishbone, which these teams are always playing defense against the pass and don't know how to play the run, you'd be successful. I'd love to see Jalen Hurts' playbook open up more. But as far as him going back in the 5-step drop quickly and looking like Johnny Unitas, that's not going to happen, I don't think. But I think you should be happy with what you got. Who do you want instead of Jalen Hurts? That's what I would ask Eagle fans. Who do you want? I've been waiting my whole life for a quarterback. We've had instances, a Harbaugh here, a Trubisky there, a Williams over here. A Cutler momentarily right over there. A Rudy Bukic in 1965. We've had instances. You don't have an instance. You have a 4-year resume on Jalen Hurts, maybe longer. I don't know how long he's played. I'd stay with what you got. I know what Dan is saying about having – I don't know why you'd bring in a guy. It's sort of like when the Bears brought in Sid Gillman. We had Bobby Avellini. You're bringing in Sid Gillman, the passing guru. It didn't work. Okay, so there's what I think Danny's talking about.
Yeah.
You're bringing in a chess master to teach you how to play checkers.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't get it either. I don't get it. So are they going to tell him sayonara? What happens if they end up getting in the playoffs again?
They said this also. They have no intention of extending him now.
Now, who was quoted on that, Dan?
Again, no, it was anonymous source.
No, I hate that.
Yeah, but
You
the
know I
president of
hate
the United States, Richard Nixon, was brought down on anonymous sources.
Oh yeah, and it's nothing now. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So,
okay, you're right. Journalism's different compared to what it was then with
oh my God,
Woodward
yeah.
and Bernstein. You're right.
Anonymous sources. I've been living with that my whole life.
Yeah, but Mike, those are people that work with the team.
The anonymous source works with them.
Yeah,
You don't even know who it is.
Mike, he's the lead columnist for the Eagles on.
Well, that guy is. But you said an anonymous source.
Oh no, he's using them in his story. So is Jeremy Fowler. So Mike, you don't believe Jeremy Fowler, Tim McManus, and Jeff McClain, guys who
I'll take 1 out of 3. I believe it's journalism. They got the lowest favorability rate. They got like 22%.
You're dead right, Mike. Give me an update on the Chicago Stadium.
Well, it makes me ill. I mean, now George McCaskey says the other day. He says, I think Bear fans will be fine with it, and I'm telling you right now, they will not be fine with it. They'll have to accept it.
Mike, you think they're moving?
If they decide to move, they're nuts if they move. Who goes from Chicago to Canada?
If they moves out of Chicago.
If they move out of this, well, that's my point. But my deal is this: you're going to be in a swamp area. It's not attractive over there. It won't work out. And where you have, this George McCaskey brought up, well, look at the New York Giants and Jets. They've worked out. But he didn't bring up the Redskins when they went to Landover. He didn't bring up the Rams when they went to St. Louis.
Why doesn't he look at the 49er fans when the fans go down to – they don't go down to Santa Clara anymore, Mike.
No. Or the Raiders when they were a mess and going from Sacramento to Vegas to Los Angeles to Oakland. So there are messes. So right now, it's still 50-50. We'll see what happens. I'm praying they do the right thing. But if they don't, there's nothing, like you said earlier about Hurts and everything, Danny. There's nothing I can do about it. I'll watch it on my big TV. I'm not going to go to the games. You want to drive to Hammond, Indiana? Good luck to you all. And I know the Bear, like you said about Philadelphia's media, the Bear media will be going, well, I think it's a good move. It's a good move. The Bears got a good deal. My God, the Cubs.
Wow.
The Cubs got $1 billion. I didn't get nothing. They financed their own renovation.
What's happened to the Chicago media, man?
Oh, they're not what they were. I'm talking print, TV, or radio. They're not what they were. Nowadays, you'll get people that will say, oh, Hammond's a nice area. I heard a talk show host say, it's a good place to raise a family. I'm going, who the hell ever suggested any NFL team go to Hammond? Okay? So it's just a big joke. It's a big joke. And now we got baseball. I got the White Sox to put up to. I mean, this is just like a debacle. The White Sox, they make mistakes like my 9-year-old nephew's Little League team.
Have you ever seen Chicago in this state of where they are with the Hawks, where they are with the Bulls, where they are with the Bears? Well, the Bears are in a good place right now, it seems. We'll see what happens this year.
It's yearly in the NFL, though. You know that, Danny.
Yeah, no. We have to wait and see if they can follow it up because they're going to get a first-place schedule.
Yeah.
And that's gonna affect them a little bit here. But
there's been years that it's been bad like this, but it's been prolonged. I see the White Sox are going to finally retire Ozzie Guillen's number 13 jersey. They announced it today. Look, he did the impossible. He won a World Series, with ownership that didn't want him to. That basically, they were picked for third place that year.
You know what I think? Listen, I love Ozzie, and I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Do you agree? One of the greatest things he did in that series was the faith that he had in that pitching staff. Mike, am I right? The starting pitching staff, those guys went like 7 2/3. They were just like
they had 4 complete games in the series.
I mean, am I right?
You're right. No,
they were animals in that series.
Ozzie Guillen was not a strategist. What Ozzie Guillen was, good with the players, and he would take the heat off them. He wasn't liked by his general manager, who told the owner all the time, they didn't even want to hire him. And they hired him, and they did the right thing. All I'm going to say is he played for years with the White Sox. He was a decent player, but he deserves his number retired because he actually won a World Series with a team that was picked for 3rd or 4th place that year, and they got it done. And the pitching staff with Walker, the pitching coach, and Cooper, Don Cooper. God bless you, man. God bless you.
My man, I'll tell you what, we're going to close up shop here because it's Good Friday here, man. And
Oh, really? Hey,
yeah.
I got to tell you, the Good Friday thing, I know it's Good Friday, but I might have a sausage sandwich tonight.
I'll
say
a sausage sandwich in Chicago.
Yeah.
That is a normal Good Friday there. Mike,
Friday.
I'll tell you what. Hey, folks, just so you know, Mike came in, he goes like this. Oh, okay, all right. So he took a shot at me earlier in the week.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I took the shot because it hurts, right? I went and stood up for him.
You did.
Right?
You did.
But I did it to your face. As far as I could do it to your face.
That's because I love you, man. What are you kidding me?
And then we had, because of that, we had reaction. But I'll tell you right now, if Jalen Hurts isn't the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles this coming year on opening day, I think the Eagles have turned into something I never thought that the Lakers have been, or Dallas, Showtime, the America's team. They become the lead soap opera.
Oh, yes.
Yes, in the National Football League. And
yes, sir.
They're a winning team, so a lot of people wish they had their problems, whatever they are.
Absolutely. Mike, you have a great holiday, and I will catch you next week, my friend.
All right, buddy.
Look at that. The Pope, how you doing?
We could
That's
use a flyover.
Chicago. You guys
the Pope. What is it called? The plane, the Pope, the Pope plane. We could use a flyover, Comiskey.
Let me tell you something here, man. You see this guy right here? He's like the Pope of Chicago, the Pope of Greenwich Village. You got the Pope right there.
Oh, the Pope of Greenwich Village. It's my thumbs. They took my thumbs.
The thumbs. This is the Pope of Chicago. Mike, we'll catch you next week, my friend.
White smoke, baby. See you later.
That is my friend, Mike North. I love him very much, man. He's such a good one. Yeah, it is Good Friday. I hope everybody has a spectacular religious weekend, Jewish, Passover, and obviously Good Friday, and then Easter on Sunday. God bless each and every single one of you. Thank you very much. Please hit the like button on the way out. We will see you on Monday for more drama, 2 to 6, and we shall see you on the flip side.